Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Lord of All. I have a troop editor. Chapter 1. New Lord, welcome to the continent of Ain. Together with billions of blue star humans, you will build territory, develop power, and compete for living space in this world where thousands of races compete for hegemony. You have a 1-year relaxation period as a transition. During this year, your consciousness can shuttle back and forth between the two worlds. After 1 year, Blue Star will be completely integrated with the continent of Ain. For the continuation of race and civilization, please seize this precious 1-year protection period to develop your own power as soon as possible to cope with the cruel racial hegemony in the future. The relevant rules and basic information about the Iron Continent have been transferred to your brain. Please check it yourself and start taking action as soon as possible. Wu Wei suddenly woke up from the darkness, feeling that there was a huge amount of information in his brain, and he was a little confused for a while. It wasn't until a long time later that his brain digested the information and he came back to his senses. He jumped up from the ground like a frightened wildcat and looked around nervously. He is now in a simple mountain camp, only half an acre in size, surrounded by trees of all sizes, with only a few broken wooden buildings inside. Several wooden houses and a slightly larger wooden structure conference hall. That's all. This is my territory. What kind of lord is this? Wu Wei couldn't help but rolled his eyes, and then rushed into the conference hall without looking back. There is a large wooden treasure box in the corner, which is emitting a slight fluorescence. This is a gift from the world spirit of the Iron Continent to every Blue Star person. This treasure chest is the space warehouse of the territory, but when the treasure chest is opened for the first time, each lord can randomly get 3 items as initial supplies. In addition to the initial arms of varying numbers and types, the other 2 items may be skill scrolls, equipment weapons, or even various territorial buildings. Including the inevitable initial units, everything depends entirely on luck. Wu Wei has always had bad luck, so he seemed extremely nervous at this time, mentally praying to all the gods and Buddhas in the sky. You must bring me some good things. Even if you don't have artifacts, treasures and top-level troops, you must at least be able to save my life in the early stage. Although if the Lord dies within the 1-year buffer period, he will only lose his Lord qualification and will not be able to enter the continent of Ain again for 1 year. But after a year when the planes merge, those who have died can only start fighting as ordinary people. Not as good as those young children and old people who are not qualified to be lords now. At least they can still freely choose the location of their territory as new lords, and receive protection from their families in the early stage. As a lonely man, once he loses his status as a lord, he may never be able to make a comeback in the future. This is obviously something he doesn't want to see. After taking a deep breath, he opened the treasure chest directly. In a burst of white light, continuous prompts sounded in his ears. You get 12 basic human units, farmers. You have obtained a talent activation scroll. You have obtained an intermediate defensive building, a swift arrow tower. Upon hearing the prompt, Wu Wei hid his face and sighed. It's over, there is no fighting power at all. Except for an arrow tower that can barely protect the security within the territory, he does not have any combat power to explore outside and collect resources. You can't develop a territory just by cutting down trees. Territory buildings to train farmers into combat arms militia. Militia training camps need to use stone and iron ore. Wu Wei was about to cry but had no tears. I have no luck like anyone else. I have traveled through time twice. Not only do I have no golden finger, but my luck is always so bad. Is there any time traveler in the world who is worse off than me? Yes, Wu Wei is a time traveler. Before being reborn on Blue Star, he came from a technological tree point and moved to a similar planet in the virtual world. That world was similar to the current Blue Star, but because virtual reality technology was developed early, most people lived in various large-scale virtual reality games. The irony is that only rich people can enjoy life in the real world. Reality has become a luxury that only the upper class can possess. Wu Wei is an ordinary person who has been the Liver King for decades in a game world called Heroes for Hegemony. As a result, his consciousness data was burned due to data turbulence that had never occurred before, and he magically traveled to Blue Star and was reborn. Although he is an abandoned orphan with congenital heart disease, he still cherishes this opportunity, lives actively, and enjoys the reality that he has never felt in his previous life. As a result, I finally lived to be 18 years old, but I encountered the fusion of the blue star plane again. I really didn't know what to say. I originally thought that becoming a lord would be an opportunity, but now it seems that everything is not that easy. No, there is still hope. It suddenly occurred to him that there was still an unused talent activation scroll. If he could activate a powerful talent ability, there might be hope. Wu Wei thought of this, quickly picked up the scroll he had just obtained, and resolutely opened the scroll. A burst of divine light shone on Wu Wei's body, awakening the hidden power in his soul. In the continent of iron, everyone can activate their own innate abilities. This ability comes from the soul and appears under the influence of the laws of the world of iron. It often has magical effects and is not necessarily powerful, but it cannot be analyzed by any method. To explore the principles. Theoretically, blue star humans can also activate their innate abilities. Wu Wei could clearly feel that his perception was changing at this moment. A blurry world was emerging in the ocean of his consciousness. When he saw the things in this world clearly that day, he was suddenly shocked. Isn't this my territory in the game? The next moment, a prompt sounded. You have activated an unknown EX level talent ability, imaginary number reality. Imaginary numbers are real. X level talent ability. You can digitize the things that are bound to your soul in the real world and store them in the consciousness space, or you can take out the virtual data in the consciousness space and manifest it in the real world. The convertible things include all the things that are bound to your soul. Items and lives, but does not include intangible things such as one's own skills, memories, life experiences, etc. Note: retrieving and storing real data requires the consumption of various energies including energy, physical strength, and life energy. The larger the data stream, the more energy is required to convert it. Please use this ability with caution. Note: there is already a large amount of real data in the current consciousness space. Wu Wei was stunned and it took him a long time to react. My talent is to convert things between reality and data, and the account data in the virtual reality game I played in my first life has been hidden in my soul and has been judged as real data that can be embodied. Doesn't that mean that I can bring the territory buildings, treasures and equipment, even heroic characters and those top-level soldiers in my mind to the continent of Ain? God help me. Wu Wei, who relied on a talent activation scroll to turn the tables in one move and gained incredible resources at the start, shouted excitedly. But he quickly calmed down. Because he realized a key issue. He still doesn't know how much energy it takes to take out the game items in the consciousness space. If taking out even a small thing could kill him, wouldn't it be like crying without tears? The matter was so important that he immediately communicated with his conscious space and began to try. Fortunately, every time before he was about to convert item data, a reminder would come from his consciousness space, telling him how much it would cost. At least he wouldn't have to risk his life for experiments. Soon, he basically understood what level of items would directly kill him. What size of items would overtax his body and cause him irreparable damage. Changing what kind of items will only make him a little tired at most, and it won't be a big deal. Overall, there aren't many things he can take out right now. After all, his game data comes from the account of a gone Emperor player who has been playing for decades. There are really not many low-level items, treasures and soldiers. Now he doesn't have to think about manifesting any artifacts and equipment, full-level castles, angels, demons, dragons and other legendary arms. The most important thing is how to make good use of the first manifestation. Soon he picked out two things from the items that could be embodied. The heart of the primary city, in the game, Heroes of Hegemony, after capturing the opponent's territory city without destroying too many city buildings, but if you don't want to take the effort to occupy it, you can choose to return the opponent's city to its original state and make it portable. One-shot treasure, Heart of the City. For the convenience of future Lord players who want to build a new territory, they can use the city heart to directly build a basic city. Although all the building levels in this city will return to the basic level, it is at least a standard basic city with all the internal organs, saving players the effort of building a territory from scratch. If he embodies a city heart, he can immediately get a basic town. Then this novel can be called, Lord of the People, I Started a City in the Second Time Travel. The second type is a special treasure, the Book of Myth Writing. This treasure can be regarded as a gift from the game operator to experienced players. It has no level in itself and only has one function, which is to allow players to DIY their own troops. To put it bluntly, it is a troop editor, allowing players to experience the joy of designing troops, but the success rate is very touching. Players have created many low-level units, but the more advanced units are, the more demanding they are to create. Only a few people have succeeded in creating top-level units. Because the more advanced the arms are, the more detailed and rich the settings required. There must be the origin of arms, source of power, myths and legends, basic settings, appearance settings, advanced settings, etc. The top-level arms must create a huge world view. Wu Wei has been obsessed with this for a while and has created several arms, but top-level customized arms have never been created. But it didn't matter. Those big guys who DIY'd legendary arms all uploaded their own arm information in the communication group, and he remembered it clearly. If you choose to write a book that embodies the myth now, then these materials can be used. There is no guarantee that new legendary arms will be created in this world, but at least the chances are high. It is these two items that can maximize the benefits for the first time. It is up to Wu Wei himself to decide whether he wants a city or a chance to create a legendary unit. He didn't think much, gritted his teeth, closed his eyes, and activated his innate ability. In a blur of divine light, a thick hard-covered book appeared in his hand, making his palm sink. Subsequently, the appearance of this book seemed to trigger a change in the laws of the world. A burst of brilliant colorful light fell from the sky, passed through the roof and fell directly into the book, which seemed to have essentially transformed the book. A prompt sounded in my ears. Your gifted creation attracted the attention of the world's laws. You created and obtained a special artifact, the founding holy book and the chronicle of myth. This artifact is your exclusive treasure and has been bound to your soul. It cannot be traded, damaged, or discarded. No other life can detect its existence without your permission. Wu Wei felt that his physical strength had been drained instantly. After opening his eyes, he even felt a little dizzy. He sat for a while before regaining his breath. Then he didn't care about resting. The prompt sound just now made him very concerned, so he quickly checked the information of the treasure in his hand. Founding Holy Book Myth Chronicle. The only artifact, bound and recognized as the owner, created with the authority of law. Effect 1. Epic writing. Write down detailed military settings, origins and legendary stories on the pages of the Book of Myths in the form of an epic biography. If the judgment is passed, the military class will be created and the writer will be regarded as the creator of this unit obtains its permanent dominance and summoning authority. This function can be used free of charge once every natural month. In addition, each writing requires a large amount of Lord experience or divine power. Effect 2. Racial myth. Write detailed racial settings, origins and mythological stories on the pages of the Book of Myths in a way that describes myths. If the judgment is passed, the race will be created, and the writer will be regarded as such. The creator of the race obtains permanent dominance and summoning authority. This function can be used free of charge once every 12 natural months. In addition, each writing requires a large amount of divine power. Effect 3. Each type of weapon and race created will randomly feed back corresponding abilities and life sources to the master of the artifact. Effect 4. The master of the artifact can control the actions of each self-created unit and race at will through the founding scripture, regardless of distance. Wu Wei was shocked after reading it. A prop that did not even have a grade in the game appeared in this world and attracted the attention of the world's laws because of its special effects, and was transformed into an artifact. After reacting, he felt a burst of ecstasy in his heart, glad that he really made the right choice. Although I don't know what level of treasure the artifact is, it should be among the highest levels, right? You get an artifact that is equivalent to a troop editor at the beginning. I believe there is no better start among humans than this, right? But now is not the time to relax. The founding scripture itself has little combat effectiveness. If you want to obtain life-saving support, you have to work harder and create troops. Opening the cover, Wu Wei began to put the information about the legendary race in his memory onto the blank pages through mind transmission. But what he didn't know was that the abnormal fluctuations in the world's laws just now had attracted the attention of a powerful being. Myth Origins, written by Cayman, the creator god of heaven, felt the chaos and emptiness, so he used his divine body as the basis to create dimensional barriers in the chaotic void, creating the closed world of Tianshu and many creatures. According to legend, the world of Tianshu is divided into 3 levels and 13 heavens. The first level of heaven is located at the top of the world. It is divided into 9 heavens. From top to bottom, they are the Shenyan heaven, the supreme heaven, the original heaven, the creation heaven, the eternal life heaven, the blazing sun heaven, the night star heaven, the Langia heaven, and the cloud mist heaven, sky. The second level is the earth boundary, located in the middle of the world. It has the widest area, but there is only one level of space, called the color world sky. The third level is the demon world, the lower level, which is divided into the judgment heaven, the reincarnation heaven and the execution heaven. Quote, after writing this, after checking and finding that there were no problems, he started to add ethnic origin settings. Kamen, the creator god of heaven, died of exhaustion after creating the world of Tianshu. His blood and soul were reincarnated into the Holy Father God Adam Gamenda. As the first self-aware god in the Tianshu world, Holy Father God saw that all life in the world was muddled, devoid of wisdom, and only felt lonely and boring. So he used himself as a model to create the first intelligent race, the human race. Originally, the Holy Father was full of expectations for this new intelligent race. He felt that they were smart, diligent, and possessed many beautiful qualities, so he helped them develop to their fullest. Soon, the world was full of them. However, as time went by, he slowly discovered that as humans became smarter and acquired more knowledge and experience, they began to become cruel, aggressive, selfish, cunning, and full of lies. Only then did the Holy Father understand that the shelf life of human souls is very short and they are very susceptible to corruption by evil thoughts. So, disappointed, he decided to create a truly perfect new race that could always maintain truth, goodness and beauty. For this reason, he paid a great price, allocated most of his divine power, and finally created a family of winged angels. However, because he isolated all factors that might cause the angels to fall at the beginning of creation, the angels were too pure and perfect, and their minds were like human babies, extremely monotonous. They cannot distinguish between good and evil, cannot feel beauty, cannot have emotions, and can only follow orders and act mechanically. Only then did he realize that if there is only good and no evil in the nature of life, it cannot become real life. Although these angels possess eternal life and great power, they are essentially inferior to beasts. But if they were given the same souls as humans again, wouldn't the result be the same as humans? Eternal life and power will turn them into more evil beings than humans. Finally, in order to make up for his mistakes, Adam Gamenda made a decision that was both extremely kind and cruel. He added an instinct derived from blood to the angel family, so that every newborn angel cub can naturally develop the desire to devour flesh and blood when they are ignorant. Then, he separated his divine soul and left his divine body near the angel origin pool, allowing the angel cubs to complete the last ritual of birth, gnawing his flesh, sucking his blood, and letting them born with the original sin of mother-eating. The essence of the angel who had devoured the flesh and blood of the Holy Father was contaminated with the original evil, and the white and holy wings behind him had a hint of gray, but he finally became complete, possessed extraordinary wisdom, and became the truly perfect creature in the heart of the Holy Father. However, the kind, humble, friendly, heroic, and pure angels do not know this cruel mystery of birth, because the angel source pool is hidden in the forbidden land of heaven, Shenyantian. Without the permission of the Holy Father, no angels can enter. They only know that they are called sin angels, and they were born with huge sins. They need to work hard to do good, eliminate evil, maintain the order of the world and the operation of all things, so that they can complete redemption, wash away the sins they are born with, and become holy. The superior angel received the supreme honor of serving the Holy Father. Quote, at this point in writing, the most important step is completed. Wu Wei breathed a sigh of relief, and then began to write down the myths and legends of the Sin Angel clan in detail. Supplement the basic worldview setting of how the sinful angels drove humans to the earth under the order of the Holy Father, how they each performed their duties to manage the 13 heavens, and who the administrators of each heaven were and what their responsibilities were. Then there is the story of 2 supreme angels competing for the leadership position. Alexiel, one of the supreme angels, accidentally saw the cruel scene of an angel cub chewing the flesh of the Holy Father, so she had a misunderstanding and led her subordinates to start a rebellion against the ruler of the supreme heaven. Although these stories may not seem like much, they are a very important part of the creation of the entire race. If the race origin setting is the core and bones, then these mythical stories are the blood and flesh, which can make the entire setting richer and greatly improve the success rate. The big reason why that big boss was able to create the legendary unit of sin angels was that every one of his mythological stories was well written. Because of the artifact, Wu Wei now created not a unit but a complete legendary race. Naturally, he could not let go of any detail. Fortunately, those stories were indeed wonderfully written and he spent time researching them, so they are still fresh in his memory, and he quickly copied them onto the pages of the founding scripture with his mind. After completion, the next step is to set the appearance, body shape, attributes, core strength, fighting methods and other basic settings of the sinful angels. These are all ready-made, just copy them and you're done. Finally, there is the advanced setting, which determines the upper limit of the individual sin angels. He actually intended to make a setting like, every sin angel can become a creation god-like existence. However, when creating a race for the first time, he didn't dare to add it randomly, so he could only follow the original settings. As the settings gradually improved, the pages of the founding scripture gradually lit up with the slightest light, and each font began to change into obscure ancient sacred texts. Wu Wei knew that this was a sign that the setting was successful. Excited, he quickly added the last content. The light on the pages of the book became more and more obvious. As more and more fonts were converted into ancient sacred texts, a magical power began to erupt from the inside of the holy book and gradually connected to the underworld. The entire book also automatically floated into the air, faintly exuding invisible power. However, at this critical moment, a shocking dragon roar suddenly sounded outside. What sound? Wu Wei's expression changed, a little surprised and uncertain. Now is the critical moment, don't let any surprises happen at this time. However, contrary to expectations, there were exclamations and commotion outside soon. It's the farmer who was randomly selected as the basic unit before. What did they see that made them so scared? Wu Wei hurriedly came to the door, only to see a mighty beast that covered the sky and sun hovering over the territory. A blue arrowed tower appeared in the center of the territory at some point. It sensed the invasion of the giant beast and was immediately activated. A series of cyan arrow afterimages shot out from the top of the arrow tower and landed on the giant beast, but were directly bounced off by the black iron-like scales on its body. The next moment, the giant beast in the sky retracted its wings, and its huge body crashed down like a meteorite. Just hearing a loud noise, the arrow tower was instantly smashed into a pile of rubble. The giant beast stretched out its slender neck and looked towards the meeting hall. A pair of huge dark golden vertical pupils with a cunning look fell on Wu Wei. Wu Wei felt chilled and trembling all over, and even breathing became difficult. The same was true for the 12 farmers around them. Under the inexplicable aura and pressure emanating from the other party, they all lay on the ground and trembled, unable to even make a sound. Wu Wei was shocked because he had recognized the monster in front of him. This turned out to be a giant dragon. In the continent of Ain, this is a legendary creature standing at the top of the food chain. The legendary arms in many races rely on their existence to be realized. The human race's legendary military force, the Dragon Knight, requires a strong enough knight to sign a contract with an adult dragon before it can appear. And a Dragon Knight even has certain qualifications to become the king of a principality. No matter how unqualified he is, he can also become a noble knight protecting the country, enjoying the same status as an earl. The information in his brain told him that every giant dragon was extremely rare and dangerous. If a new territory was invaded by a giant dragon, he would have to admit defeat and prepare to end the short-lived lord game. Under the cover of Longwei, even escaping is a luxurious delusion. But why did such a legendary creature come here and attack his territory? Could it be that it was attracted by the movement of the founding sacred artifact appearing in the world? Wu Wei's thoughts were racing in his mind, but the giant dragon looked at him for a while, and suddenly opened his mouth and said human words. It turns out that he is a poor guy from another world. It seems that there is a new plane being drawn and merged with the main world. Lucky little guy, I seem to feel the unique aura of the artifact. Come on, tell me, where is the artifact? Wu Wei's heart moved, and he remembered the attribute in the artifact data that could not be detected by other creatures, so he came to the conclusion. It seems that this guy can no longer feel the breath of the founding scripture. So he bit the bullet and pointed in a random direction and said, I don't understand what you are talking about, but I just saw a colorful light over there. Mr. Dragon, are you mistaken? But the dragon narrowed his eyes and directly exposed his lie. Stupid alien human, you don't even know what it means to lie in front of the great cold iron dragon King Akaros. I originally thought that if you can sincerely donate the artifact, consider yourself a servant, and surrender to me, I can give you a great blessing. But now I have changed my mind. Guys like you can only if you deserve to endure eternal torture in the ice hell, you are not qualified to be my servant. When the dragon was angry, its pressure was like a tsunami, which was frightening. However, at this moment, Wu Wei's expression suddenly changed, as if he was relieved, and the panic on his face disappeared in an instant. He even smiled calmly and said, Oh, really? That's such a pity, but I think you should consider your situation now. As soon as he finished speaking, the expression of the cold iron dragon king named Akaros changed. He seemed to have noticed something and suddenly looked up at the sky. The next moment, a piercing holy light descended from the sky and fell in front of it instantly. The huge sacred energy made Akaros fly back vigilantly, for no other reason than that it felt the threat in the light pillar that made its scalp numb. In the holy light, several angels in black robes and armor opened their white wings with a hint of gray, flew out of the light pillar, raised the giant sickle in their hands, and aimed at the giant dragon not far away. Then, a graceful figure walked out of the light pillar holding a long sword, and a pair of white sacred wings with a dark golden color were gathered behind her back, elegant and holy. I saw her waist-length black hair fluttering in the wind, her hot and slightly rebellious attire, her cold and beautiful face, and her sacred and majestic temperament. The three were cleverly combined together, which was both contradictory and stunning. You can't take your eyes away from it. Only then did the prompts in Wu Wei's ears completely end. You created a new legendary race, the Angels of Sin. You have gained the permanent allegiance of the Sin Angel clan. You have obtained the power feedback of the created race, you have obtained the extraordinary core, the holy glory of redemption, and you have obtained the special skill, Holy Atonement Body. The racial birthplace of the Sin Angel clan, the Tianshu Sin domain is being generated, and you will have absolute control over this birthplace. As the creator of a new race, you have received the following rewards. Reward the exclusive title of the Race Master, the Holy Lord of Redemption. When carrying the troops of the Sin Angel race, it does not occupy your command point. The attributes of the Sin Angel troops under it are increased by 30%. They will never betray, and the morale is fixed at full value, even if it is transferred. Individual Sin Angels given to other lords will never harm you and will still regard you as the supreme leader. Reward War Spell, Military Formation Saving Power. Reward the Sin Angels exclusive special building, Sin T Tower, which can be placed directly after the construction address is determined. Reward Initial Unit, Level 10 Unit Sinful Angel Squad, 10 people. Reward the Sin Angels exclusive top-level military equipment, 10 sets of Sin Judging Arms. Reward a hero of the Sin Angel clan. You have obtained the mythical hero, Patrolling Angel Alexiel, the most sinful angel in the setting who rebelled because of misunderstanding. Wu Wei was also a little surprised when he heard the name of the rewarded hero. Because this is one of the two most powerful Sin Angel commanders in the setting besides the Holy Father God Adam Gaminda. He is responsible for patrolling the 13 heavens of the 3 realms and is the highest commander of 100,000 battle angels. If a being of this level becomes his subordinate, won't he directly turn on the easy mode in the future? Are the rewards for creating new races in this world so high? Just when Wu Wei was confused, the brave and pure Sin Angel hero had already raised the exquisite long sword in his hand, pointed directly at the giant dragon not far away, and issued an ethereal declaration. Evil creatures who want to harm our Holy Lord, your sins do not need to be judged, just accept the punishment. Although Akaros was a little apprehensive, he did not give in. Instead, he explored with great interest, an angel of the church. No, the breath is not exactly the same, and the wings are also different. The peak of the holy realm like you is almost half an archangel in the divine realm must have at least 6 wings, so is it a new angel race? Haha, If those birdmen in the sky knew about your existence, they would be furious. I really want to see their reaction." Hearing its words, the female angel frowned, not only curious, do angels also exist in this world? It seems that you are not an ordinary creature, so stay here and use your wisdom to atone for your actions. After saying that, he spread his wings and stabbed the cold iron dragon king in front of him with his sword. Although Akaros did not expect that she would do it when she said it, and was a little surprised, his reaction speed was very fast. He tilted his head flexibly and used his thick and sharp dragon horn to block Alexel's sword, and then opened his mouth and spit it out. A breath of cold and corrosive dragon breath forced her to fly back. It even had time to taunt. "You and I are both at the 11th level of the Holy Realm. Even if you are closer to the demigod realm, you are not much better than me. You want to keep me, what a wishful thinking. I won't play with you anymore, wait. I'll go back and summon the tribesmen over, and the artifact will eventually be mine." After saying that, it wanted to spread its wings and fly away, and it moved very quickly. Even though it said harsh words, it was actually very panicked in its heart. But after he said so, Wu Wei naturally could not let him go. He quickly shouted, "Alexel, catch it. The other sinful angels are also coming together, and we must not let it go back." Needless to say, Alexiel had already erupted with a magnificent dark golden light, covering the entire space, forming an illusory temple. The air, which was clearly nothingness, now became like steel. No matter how the cold iron dragon king attacked and destroyed, he could not break the cage prepared for it. What shocked it even more was that it only felt that the power in its body was rapidly weakening under the dark golden holy light. The holy glory of the sky, the temple of redemption. The 10 fully armed sin angels were able to enter directly without restriction. They raised the giant scythes in their hands, slashed in the air, and cut out jagged light discs tens of meters long. They slashed at Okaro's body and cut quickly. Its hard cold iron scales were opened, leaving shocking wounds. The giant dragon let out a cry of pain after being chopped down, and quickly mobilized its magic power to create layers of cold iron thorns, blocking the attack while also counter-attacking against the sinful angels. However, the sinful angels were extremely fast and easily dodged the dense iron thorns. Even if they had no time to dodge, they could split the cold iron thorns in front of them with one blow. The next moment, Alexel had flown over. The long sword in his hand was filled with a dark golden light. With one strike of the sword, a gap hundreds of meters long was cut in the space. The holy glory of the sky boundary-breaking sky-breaking slash. This slash, which could even cut through space, broke through all the cold iron dragon king's protection in an instant, almost cutting half of its body open. However, the vitality of the sacred dragon is indeed amazingly tenacious. It still has the strength to struggle despite such fatal injuries. The painful dragon roars from its mouth are also loud and powerful, full of energy. "You actually have the ability to master the space system. But I won't give in. Die with me," Cold Iron Dragon King exclaimed, knowing that he might not end well today, so he immediately prepared to die together. Seeing that it was about to fight back desperately, Alexiel stretched out her finger and said softly, "Define." The dragon's movements and sounds suddenly stopped. The holy glory of the sky, atonement and imprisonment. Then, she stretched out her fingers to draw a complex magic circle in the air, which was printed directly on its chest and carved into its heart. "Death cannot free you until you wash away your sins. Please atone for your actions." The holy glory of the sky, the covenant of atonement. After the engraving was completed, Akaros regained his mobility from the imprisoned state. However, after feeling something strange about itself, it immediately let out an angry roar. "What have you done? Birdman, how dare you try to use a forced contract to enslave a giant dragon? Your behavior has offended Ain, the biggest taboo on the mainland. All the dragon clans around the world will regard you as their enemy." Hearing its roar, Alexel frowned and said displeased, "This is not slavery, this is redemption. For us, enslaving living beings is also a sin, and we will not do such a thing." "That's nice to say. My magic power and soul are now under your control. I have no rights at all. What else is this called slavery? Bullshit. Redemption is nothing more than a disguised form of slavery. You sanctimonious guys, it will always be this hypocritical face. Whatever you think, I won't break the seal until my master forgives you. You can't die even if you want to." After Alexel finished speaking, he turned around and came to Wu Wei, kneeling on one knee. The supreme savior of Tianshu, the superior sin angel Alexel offers you the most sincere respect and becomes the weapon in your hands. The sword is our greatest honor. Get up. There is no need to be polite in front of me. I also want to thank you for saving my life in time. Wu Wei quickly asked her to stand up, still very excited. After all, this is a real mythical hero, and a very charming angel, beautiful and strong. Who wouldn't like such a subordinate? Not only heroes, but also 10th level legendary soldiers, sin angels. Even if he has just come to this world, he can understand what a powerful force he now holds in his hands. The information in the brain shows that the God-given troops in this world are divided from low to high into ordinary level, level 1 to 3, elite level, level 4 to 6, extraordinary level, level 7 to 9, and legendary level, 10th level. Each level is divided into 10 smaller levels. Theoretically, level 10 of the legendary level is the limit that an army can reach. Going higher must be upgraded from an army creature to a hero unit before it is possible to go further. Any soldier has the possibility to become a heroic unit, but the conditions are very harsh. The vast majority of heroes on the continent of Ain are directly served by qualified native race members and nobles themselves, and they are all the seeds of becoming lords. There are very few heroic units that are truly upgraded from God-given units. Like soldiers, heroes are also divided into 10 levels, but there is still hope to advance to the saint level, 11th level demigod, 12th level divine level, lower god, middle god, and upper god, Lord God, Creator God. It's just that the hope is slim. In the continent of Al Ain, every legendary combat power is extremely valuable to a force. Being able to assemble a full legendary team of 10 people is considered a strong force and can become the overlord of a party. And the existence of a sanctuary level is the founding confidence of a kingdom and the ultimate deterrent level of supreme force. To put it simply, with a sanctuary level combatant, you can build a sovereign kingdom. Wu Wei is now just a small lord from another world who has just arrived, but at this moment, he already possesses high-end military force that is enough to support him in establishing a kingdom. Of course, only high-end force cannot build a kingdom, but there is no need to worry about his life safety. Hearing Wu Wei's words, Alexel stood up and said, "The Holy Lord said something serious. Protecting your safety is the most important duty of us sinful angels." Then she asked, "Holy Lord, please give instructions on how to deal with this evil creature that is trying to harm you." Her question immediately aroused Wu Wei's thoughts. This giant dragon is also a dragon king after all, a saint-level existence. It would be a waste to kill it directly. And from what it said, it even had its own tribe, which might be a group of unknown number of legendary dragons. If you can conquer it, you will make a lot of money. Thinking of this, Wu Wei asked, "Can you control it and make it obedient?" Alexiel nodded, then shook his head and said, "After all, it is a saint-level life. Now my subordinates can only rely on the power of the holy glory to restrain its behavior and strength. This can ensure that it cannot act randomly, but it cannot be eliminated. Its hostility and resistance to us." Wu Wei nodded and ordered, "Then just watch it like this for now, and then deal with it after I finish the things at hand." Yes, Alexel received the order and turned around to carry out Wu Wei's order, but Wu Wei himself also had new things to do. Just now, he felt a warm and sacred power in his body, which instantly dispelled the weakness he felt after using his innate skills. He could even faintly notice that he was already a little different. After much deliberation, there is only one reason that can explain his change: the extraordinary power fed back to him after creating the Sin Angel family. In order to find out, he followed the method in his brain and meditated on the Lord system in his heart. A simple panel appeared in Wu Wei's sight. Name: Wu Wei. Personal attribute column. Talent ability. Imaginary number is real X level talent. Personal occupation. None. Personal level. Level 1 LV11. 4-dimensional properties. Physique 2.2. The attributes of a normal adult blue star male are about 1 point. Strength 1.8. Agile 1.9. Spirit 3.1. Master a skill. Holy Atonement body transforms oneself into the form of a sinful angel, with the same strength as the initial sinful angel, approximately level 3 of the legendary level. To maintain this state requires 1000 points of holy power per minute, and the cooling time is 24 hours. Extraordinary Core. The holy glory of redemption, a mysterious power from the Sin Angel family, with holy attributes, lodged in the holy soul, and outlined with holy blood, can improve physical fitness, soul strength, and personal qualifications without any need for practice, and continuously generate holy energy. The power of brilliance, constantly improving the quality and upper limit of energy. Extraordinary Power. Holy Power 5000 5000ths. Current status. Good, generally good, excited, tired, hungry, slightly injured, seriously injured, disabled, endangered, etc. Combat Strength Evaluation. A low-level mortal, a fighting novice who possesses high-level sacred power but doesn't know how to use it. Maybe adding a pair of wings can make you stronger, who knows? Lord Attribute Column. Lord Occupation. None. Lord Mission is unlocked after the Lord level reaches level 10. Lord Level. LV0. Lord Attributes. Speed. 1. Affects troop marching speed and maneuvering reaction speed. Attack. 1. Affects the basic attack of the troops. Defense. 1. Affects the basic defense of the troops. Intelligence. 1. Affects the unit's spell attack and mana limit. Will. 1. Affects the unit's spell resistance and mana recovery speed. Mana. 10 out of 10. Used to use active Lord skills and war spells, restored 1 point every hour. Command value. 1000, maximum number of troops. Lord skills. None. War spells. Military formation saving power. When the number of Sin Angels you lead reaches more than 100, you can activate this military formation to bring the power of all Sin Angels together to exert at least a semi-god level power. The greater the number of Sin Angel troops, the average combat strength will be. The stronger the military formation, the more powerful it is. When it is in the thousands, it can be compared to the divine domain level. When it is in the tens of thousands, it can be matched with the lower gods. When it is in the hundreds of thousands, it can be defeated by the middle gods. In millions, it can be defeated by the upper gods. At the main god level, it is invincible. At the same time, you can delegate the use of military formations to the heroes of the Sin Angel clan under the banner, so that the heroes can use the military formations on your behalf. Lord Skill Points. 0. Lord Attribute Points. 0. Master the Territory. Miniature Woodland Camp, unnamed. This is the Lord Auxiliary system given by the spirit of the Ain world to help Blue Star humans better integrate into the world of Ain. However, in fact, it can be activated as long as you become a lord in this world. Even the hero unit will have a simple version, including the prompt sound ringing in the ear, which is called the career panel and the voice of the world by people in the Ain world. Seeing the extraordinary core in the personal attribute column, Wu Wei finally confirmed his guess. In this case, I should be able to take out more treasures, right? Wu Wei, who was just an ordinary person before, could take out some game props in the consciousness space. Now he has been strengthened by extraordinary energy. His physical fitness is 2 or 3 times that of ordinary people, and he still has the power of sacred energy in his body. Consumption. Logically there should be more good things that can be taken out. Thinking of this, Wu Wei used his talent again, imaginary number reality, to communicate the game territory in the consciousness space. After a moment, Wu Wei looked happy, and a fist-sized light black translucent crystal appeared in his hand. If you look carefully, you will find that there is a microscopic cityscape in the crystal, with various strange buildings made of bones. It's done, the heart of the top city. The heart of the city is also divided into levels, converted from cities of different levels. After occupying an ordinary 1st to 3rd level city, it can only be converted into a primary city heart. After using it, you will get an original 1st level town. By converting a 4th to 6th level city, you can get the heart of an intermediate city. After using it, it becomes a 4th level city. You can get the heart of a high level city by converting a 7th to 9th level city, and after using it, you will become a 7th level main city. The heart of a top city is the most precious. It can only be converted by occupying a top royal capital. It is extremely demanding and very rare. After using it, you can directly get a level 10 royal city, which greatly saves the player's construction time, so even in the game, this is one of the most precious props. In the past, after Wu Wei won the victory and occupied the royal city with a big advantage, all the converted top-level city hearts were used to buy money. Only this ghost clan's royal city remained in his hands because it was not so easy to sell, and traveled with him. It's not easy to sell because all the major races have their advantages in the late game. Only the ghost race, which is a big early race, becomes weaker in the later stages, and gradually no one plays it. The advantage of the ghost tribe is that the troops do not need to consume food, do not require maintenance, and are cheap to recruit. There is also the Undead Conversion Tower, a bug-level building that can turn the corpses of most other races' troops into undead. The combat effectiveness of the troops itself is generally not strong. In the later stage, when high-level angels and high-level dragons from other race players were flying all over the sky, and golden behemoths and thunder titans were running all over the ground, the strongest units of the ghost race were only the legendary level 3 Frost Bone Dragon and Hell Dragon. This is not available to everyone. Most undead players can only rely on the legendary level 1 Ghost Dragon and the legendary level 2 Corpse Dragon to support the scene. Once the number of legendary arms increased, the Sea of the Undead and the Sea of Skeletons became a joke. This also led to a significant decrease in ghost players in the later period. The related treasures, equipment and props were also unpopular and often unsaleable. But in this world it's a different situation. The Lord of Iron Continent is not restricted to using troops of only one race. He is also in the early stage of development, and a ghost royal city with all kinds of buildings is suitable for his development. Wu Wei was excited and wanted to release the heart of the city immediately, but the current clearing in the forest was obviously not suitable for placing a ghost royal city. The terrain was not suitable and the space was far from enough. The first priority should be to find a suitable place. After all, it is a royal city, so the location must be chosen carefully. Soon, he issued a series of orders. All the farmers started to open up camps and cut down the surrounding trees to collect wood. Leave 2 sinful angels to protect the safety of the camp, and at the same time continue to clean up the area around the camp to eliminate all threats. Alexel, you suppress the Cold Iron Dragon King and take the remaining 8 Sin Angels with me to set off. I need to capture a suitable new territory. After receiving the order, the Sin Angels immediately shouted in unison, yes. I am willing to overcome thorns and thorns for the Holy Lord. Due to the unrecuperation of Cold Iron Dragon King Ikaros, Wu Wei and the others could only explore the surrounding terrain on their own. Soon the Sin Angels explored the terrain of the nearby area. The place where Wu Wei was born is a mountainous terrain, surrounded by rolling mountains. This kind of terrain is actually not suitable for building large cities except for the elves. Fortunately, Wu Wei's current location is already on the outskirts of the mountain range, and 100 kilometers further west is a long and narrow entrance to the sea. This is an unexpected surprise, because coastal cities are very suitable for land races, especially the human race, to build cities. If it enters the sea, it will be a bonus, because there is no need to worry about fresh water resources. It's a pity that Wu Wei played the human race in the game in his previous life. After occupying the human city, he basically would not choose to convert the city heart, so he didn't have a human city heart in his hand, and wanted to quickly get a human city directly in this world. Game city, there is only one way. That is to choose a human city in the game territory in his consciousness space and move it directly. However, the amount of data is too large, and his current power is far from being able to do this. So we can only postpone it for now, let the camp develop first, and slowly develop towards the seaside. There are not many other places to choose from, they are all in the mountains. Wu Wei quickly chose a giant valley closest to the camp. The place is large enough, the surrounding terrain is relatively flat, and it is faintly surrounded by mountains, making it secluded enough. I'm not looking anymore, just here. Let's go. Let's knock down this valley. The continent of Iron has an almost unlimited territory, but there are a large number of creatures living on almost every land. There will be native beasts and monsters, groups of creatures from other planes, projection monsters from all realms, and wild military camps. These are obstacles for the lords to develop their wilderness territories, and they are enemies that must be eradicated or conquered. If Wu Wei wants that valley to become his own territory, he must expel all ethnic groups that threaten him in the valley, so that the Lord's system will recognize his occupation. Therefore, fighting has become inevitable. But what Wu Wei is obviously not afraid of now is fighting. With the Saint-level heroes and the 8 legendary combat powers, he will not be afraid even if he stabs the dragon's nest. Then he realized that he had really stabbed the dragon's nest. After being carried by a cute-looking Sin Angel girl to a secret place near the valley, the 3 Sin Angels went to the valley to investigate first. However, not long after, various dragon roars were heard in the valley. After a while, one of the investigating Sin Angels rushed back to report to him, "Master, there are a large number of sub-dragons and a 9th-level flying dragon group living in the valley. The number is about 20. The most important thing is, there are 5 legendary-level iron dragons deep in the valley. They look like a small dragon family." This really surprised Wu Wei. Didn't it say that legendary creatures are very rare? Why did I attract a sanctuary-level dragon king on the first day I was born, and then choose a place to build a city and still find the habitat of an iron dragon family? Am I just so lucky, or is this world so dangerous to begin with? There was some vague speculation in his mind, and he subconsciously looked at the cold Iron Dragon King who was imprisoned by Alexel in the Temple of Holy Light. "Mr. Ikaros, as the Dragon King, you should know the situation in this mountain range, right? Can you tell me why there are so many giant dragons here?" However, this Dragon King was obviously unwilling to cooperate. It even turned its head to the side and did not answer his questions at all. Seeing this, Alexel frowned slightly and couldn't help shouting, "You rude person, how dare you ignore the Holy Lord? It seems that you have no intention of repenting at all." As she said that, she was about to activate the seal and give it a taste of pain, but Wu Wei stretched out his hand to stop her. "Forget it, it doesn't matter if he doesn't say it, he's already about to die anyway." With that said, he directly ordered, "Now that we have figured out the situation in the valley, let's start fighting. Alexiel stays here, and all the other sinful angels sneak into the valley. Start clearing them from the outside first. Pay attention to concealment and clean up slowly. If unfortunately you are discovered by an iron dragon, don't hold back and attack with all your strength. Alexiel will also join the battlefield immediately and be the first to behead those iron dragons, leaving them leaderless." Yes. Thanks to the small size of the Sin Angel, he is at most the tallest among ordinary humans, with an average distance of 2 meters, so it is really easy to sneak in and assassinate some ignorant beasts. The average strength of the Yulong tribe in the valley is around level 5, with a few species at level 6 and level 7 above. For others, they may be monsters that are difficult to resist, but for an assassination team composed of legendary troops, as long as they don't appear on a large scale, they are prey that can be easily dealt with. In fact, the time spent fighting is far less than the effort spent dealing with hidden traces on the battlefield. In this way, the 8 Sin Angels worked tirelessly to clean up the sub-dragon beast group in secret, and the hundreds of sub-dragons were reduced at an extremely fast speed. In contrast, Wu Wei's gains were extremely gratifying. When the units under his banner kill creatures, Wu Wei, as the Lord, will receive 3 basic incomes: personal experience, Lord experience, and spiritual crystals. Personal experience can be used to add points to personal 4-dimensional attributes and add proficiency and upgrades to some basic skills, such as cold weapon mastery, one-handed weapon proficiency, swordsmanship, riding, fireball and other upgradable skills. If you have an extraordinary core, you can also use personal experience to speed up your practice, which is equivalent to opening a practice accelerator. Relatively speaking, this is the most cost-effective, as it can not only improve your physical fitness but also the quality of your extraordinary power within your body. Lord experience is even more precious, as it can directly improve the Lord level. The higher the level of the Lord, the higher the attribute bonuses he can bring to his troops, the more troops he can bring, and the mana value can also be increased. In short, it can improve the combat strength of the entire army. Moreover, you can get Lord skill points every time you level up, which can improve the level of Lord skills and war spells. Of course, the premise is that these skills are upgradable. Spirit crystals are the most basic and important resource in the continent of Ain. Spirit crystals are consumed when building military buildings and functional buildings. When summoning troops, a corresponding amount of spiritual crystals must be paid to the troop production planes of each major race. Spiritual crystals are even a hard-to-circulate transaction currency in this world. The currency systems of different races are basically different, which may make it impossible to trade with each other. At this time, spiritual crystals can be used for cross-racial transactions. In short, spiritual crystals are equivalent to gold coins in the game world of previous lives. They can be used for anything and are one of the most consumed resources. The Sin Angels fought until the early morning of the next day and eliminated more than half of the sub-dragon beasts in the valley. Wu Wei's personal experience exceeded 50,000, with more than 5,000 Lord experience and more than 7,000 spiritual crystals. At this time, before the Iron Dragons in the valley realized that their hometown had been stolen, the sinful angels began to target the 20 or so 9th level iron armored sword thorn flying dragons. 9th level creatures belong to the upper stage of the extraordinary level, only one level away from legendary creatures, but their intelligence is far inferior to legendary creatures. Most of them have difficulty communicating with intelligent races, and only their combat power is relatively strong. However, there is still a big gap compared with legendary creatures. If you want to compete with legendary arms, you can only rely on quantity. There were about 29th level flying dragons, which was an embarrassing number. To the 8 Sin Angels, they are just minor troubles that can be cleared away without causing any damage, but when fighting against dragons that are also legendary, they are a force that cannot be ignored. Wu Wei wanted a complete victory, and in the best case scenario, he would capture these 5 gray iron dragons without any injuries, so to be on the safe side, it was better to kill these flying dragons that might be in the way. The idea is great, but it doesn't always go as planned. Just after the Sin Angels secretly killed the first batch of 5 flying dragons, the rest of the flying dragons noticed something was wrong. 5 members were suddenly missing from the group. The armored sword thorn flying dragons immediately became vigilant and began to make a sound. Dragon roars, calling for missing companions. The sinful angels knew that they could no longer carry out sneak attacks slowly, so they made a decisive decision and took action with all their strength to kill the group of flying dragons before the iron dragons heard the news and rushed over. The holy glory of heaven mobilized the power of light to condense on the great scythe of sin. As the angels of sin swung their scythes together, they cut out huge jagged wheels of light. They killed 3 flying dragons on the spot with a single attack. The remaining dozen or so flying dragons swooped over angrily, breathing, biting, and clawing out. They wanted to take revenge without fear of death, but they were met with ruthless slaughter and harvest. The speed of Sin Angel is extremely flexible, and he can easily avoid them while twisting and turning in the air. His counterattack can easily cut off the sword spine on the back of the flying dragon, break through their strong dragon scales, and cause serious injuries. When 5 angry gray-mouthed iron dragons flew out of the dragon's lair and came to the battlefield, there were only 6 flying dragons left, and they were still scarred. This number will not have much impact in the subsequent legendary battle. The 5 sinful angels flew up to meet the iron dragons and fought with them, while the remaining 3 fought 1 against 2, preparing to quickly harvest the remaining 6 flying dragons and completely clear the battlefield. Alexel also came across the sky like a meteor, directly penetrated the battlefield with a sword, and chopped down a gray-mouthed iron dragon from the sky that could not dodge on the spot. The strength of the peak of the sanctuary is overwhelming for legendary creatures. In addition, there are 8 legendary enemies. Regardless of individual combat power or quantity, the iron dragons are far inferior, so the battle ends quickly. With the holy glory of heaven as its core and equipped with a full set of sin judgment weapons, the combat power of the Sin Angel is equivalent to legendary level 6, while the strength of several gray iron dragons is at the level of legendary level 3 to 4, which is insufficient in number. There is still a gap in individual hard power, so naturally there is no way to pull off any tricks. The entire valley was obscured by Alexel's space barrier, cutting off the possibility of them even calling for outside help. After a struggle, and with Alexel taking action, the 5 gray-mouthed iron dragons fought fiercely and refused to retreat, but in the end they were all seriously injured and captured. After taking down the ruler of this valley, no one could stop Wu Wei from occupying it. As the Sin Angels carefully completed their final sweep of the valley, Wu Wei's Lord System prompt finally sounded. Your troops have successfully occupied the Gray Iron Valley. You can build your own buildings here and send troops to garrison them. Wu Wei couldn't help but raise the corners of his mouth, and said to his capable subordinate, Alexel, bring all the prisoners here, including the Cold Iron Dragon King, I want them to see what a miracle is. Soon, the 5 gray iron dragons and the cold iron dragon King Akaros were escorted behind Yi Qian by the Sin Angels. Human, what do you want to do? Violence cannot make the noble Iron Dragon clan surrender. I swear, you will regret your actions. The Aran Mountains are the territory of our Iron Dragon clan. Get out, you human. No matter what plot you have, your compatriots who inhabit the nearby mountains will crush you sooner or later. If you don't want to die, let us go immediately. Most of the legendary creatures already have considerable intelligence, not much worse than humans. The Dragon clan is the best among them. The Dragon clan inheritance in their bloodline allows them to learn the common language of the mainland, and it is not surprising that they can speak human language. Yi Qian didn't talk nonsense to them. He took out the ghost tribe's top city heart, activated it, and threw it out. The earth began to shake, and the plants in the valley quickly withered and turned into ashes under the inexplicable breath of death. New strange plants emitting a faint blue light grew out, along with countless tall and strange bone buildings. Huge buildings that were majestic and a bit dead and weird rose up one after another under the shocked eyes of the giant dragons, and soon occupied most of the open space in the entire valley. There are even a continuous black Great Wall and hundreds of dark sentry towers emitting a faint blue light on the peaks around the valley. In the blink of an eye, the originally vibrant valley turned into a majestic ghost town of silence. The thick mist of the undead began to spread in the valley, gradually covering the sky and the sun. The sinful angels were amazed and praised the power of the Holy Lord, while the dragons were dumbfounded, looking at Wu Wei with a little more fear and awe in his eyes. Akaros yelled and asked, "What's going on? How did you do it?" Artifact. Yes, it must be an artifact. This must be the power of the artifact. But why can you use the power of the artifact? You are obviously just a human from another world. Wu Wei turned around, opened his arms and said loudly, "This is not the power of an artifact, this is the talent I possess. I am a born leader, destined to leave eternal traces in this world. Okaris, and you Iron Dragons, you are actually very lucky, because you can witness my rise with your own eyes. Now, I give you a chance. Either surrender to me and enjoy the endless glory and brilliant future, or become the nourishment of the Night City and become the slave of the undead. Your soul will be ignorant and dusty, and you will never be able to escape." As he spoke, Wu Wei thought, and the entire ghost town suddenly came alive and began to operate in an orderly manner. The skeleton collection tower emits rays of light, searching out all the corpses in the entire valley, collecting them at an extremely efficient speed, and completing classification in the tower. The nearby core building, the Undead Transformation Tower, immediately picked out the corpses of the Yulong and the Flying Dragon and put them into the giant tower. Under the horrified gazes of the giant dragons, this giant tower to the sky began to activate, emitting pure death magic and even soul fluctuations. Soon, the door opened, and skeletal earth dragons and ghost-winged flying dragons walked out of it, with faint soul fire in their eyes, making people shudder. Akaros was shocked again and lost his voice. Impossible. The speed of converting undead is so fast. What the hell is this place? If the undead could be transformed so quickly and conveniently, the undead clan would have become the overlord of the Iron Continent long ago. This is simply an unreasonable thing, unless the giant tower in front of you is an artifact of a death-type god. Wu Wei ignored their fear and asked again, "Now, make your choice, I will only give you one chance. Life or death." Looking at these ugly undead creatures in front of them, the dragons were silent. The Iron Dragon clan is considered to be the least afraid of death among the Ferris Dragon clan, but what lies before them is more than simple death. If it becomes an undead, the dragon soul will never be freed, and naturally it will not be able to return to the embrace of the dragon god. This is unacceptable to every giant dragon. Compared with this, surrendering to this powerful human lord does not seem to be unacceptable. After all, even the angel clan with eyes above their heads were so respectful to him and allowed him to be driven by him. From all indications, this guy does have something magical about him. He may not be able to create a hegemony in the future. If he joins him, he may be able to achieve great things in the future. Anyway, it is better than becoming an undead. The proud metal dragons finally stood out from the major dragon families and became the mainstream of the dragon family by cooperating with mainstream intelligent races such as humans and elves. We can also choose potential human lords to strive for the influence of the Iron Dragon clan on the continent. Soon, the dragons deceived themselves and others and prepared themselves mentally, lowering their arrogant heads. In the name of the Iron Dragon God Garunort, we are willing to respect the ancient oath and fight for you. The 6 giant dragons, including the Cold Iron Dragon King, chanted in a deep voice and read out their true names in dragon language, completing the allegiance ceremony of the giant dragon clan. Note that this is not a relatively fair dragon riding contract, but a master-slave contract led by Wu Wei. There is a big difference between the two. You have obtained the allegiance of the Holy Dragon, Cold Iron Dragon King Ikaros. You have obtained the allegiance of 5 Pharadragon-type Iron Dragons, the Grey-Mouthed Iron Dragons. You have met the key conditions for forming a legendary unit, Dragon Knights. Finding outstanding contract knights for your dragons will greatly improve the dragon's combat power and legion combat capabilities. You already have more than 2 legendary creatures of the same type and different genders, which meet the conditions for biological breeding. You have unlocked the functional building, Iron Dragon Nest. Build an exclusive dragon nest for your Grey Iron Dragons. It will help you obtain a dragon clan in the future. The system's prompt sounded in time, which meant that the dragons did not cheat and really surrendered to him. As for the last 2 reminders, Wu Wei was not surprised. In the continent of Iron, there is a magical rule. A single dragon is classified as a legendary creature rather than a soldier, because creatures cannot be summoned directly from the plane of soldiers like soldiers. Every creature is the product of natural reproduction. The Lord's special buildings can only help them speed up their reproduction and growth, and ensure the survival rate of each child. They cannot be created out of nothing. If you are not a soldier, you will not be able to enjoy the attribute bonus of the Lord when fighting, and the command will not be so smooth. The most important thing is that you will not be able to use the most powerful force in the world, the military formation. A military formation is a war spell that brings together the power of a specific legion to cause miracles. To give a simple example, under normal circumstances, no matter how large the number of low-level military units is, they cannot defeat a giant dragon because the gap in individual strength is too large to be compensated by numbers. But if it is a lord or hero who controls the military formation and leads the troops that meet the conditions for launching the military formation, even if it is still a low-level legion, the result will be completely different. The dragon is no longer difficult to defeat, and even if the scale is right, the dragon will be killed for you. Military formation is the power that can break the suppression of hierarchy, and it is also the main reason why the major intelligent races can carve out a world in the Alan continent where legendary biological groups are densely populated and establish their dominance. If used properly, military formations can even have a miraculous effect in determining the direction of a war. Dragons are very strong, and groups of dragons are even stronger, but if they are not a unit, they will only be brutally killed when they encounter legendary troops of the same level. There have been many times in the history of the Iron Continent where Dragon Knight squads used legendary military formations to wipe out groups of legendary creatures that were several times their own size. After all, compared with a clenched fist and a pile of loose sand, it's clear which one is stronger and which one is weaker. And if you want to turn the dragon into a soldier, you have to rely on the Dragon Knight. When the Knight-type military unit formed a contract with the dragon and shared power, it became the most legendary and recognized top-level military unit in the Iron Continent, Dragon Knight. That is a unit that has reached at least level 6 of the legendary level in the initial stage, and its average combat power even exceeds that of the Archangels of the Holy See and the Great Demons of the Hell Forces. There is a saying on the mainland, only a Dragon Knight can defeat a Dragon Knight. This also led to other forces beginning to find ways to create their own race of dragoons, and the legendary biological groups headed by the dragons gradually became popular. However, Wu Wei cannot form his own Dragon Knights now, because the dragons are there but the knights are not. Fortunately, there is no need for it now. The lineup of Sin Angel and Dragon is enough to deal with the current situation. The most important thing now is to make good use of this Ghost Royal City. This city, named the capital of Dark Night by Wu Wei, is already waiting for Wu Wei to discover its functions. After observing carefully, Wu Wei discovered something worth noting. Maybe because of the different laws of the world, some fundamental changes have taken place in the city. In the game, apart from materials, the most important thing consumed in building upgraded buildings and summoning military creatures is game gold coins, but now, they have become spiritual crystals. Among the resource-producing buildings in the city, the resources produced by the Council Hall and the Spirit Gathering Tower have also changed from gold coins and dark crystals to spiritual crystals. According to calculations, they can bring him about 1,000 spiritual crystals every day, which is enough in a month. Obtain 30,000 spiritual crystals. In the game, the number of units that can be recruited is refreshed once a week, but now it is refreshed once a month. Currently, there are many ghost soldiers waiting to be recruited in various military buildings in Mingye City, but unfortunately, Wu Wei's spiritual crystals are seriously insufficient. The number of spiritual crystals in his hand has just exceeded 15,000. He can still summon a lot of low-level troops, but he can't summon many mid-level and high-level ones, especially the 2 ghost dragons and a hell in the top barracks netherworld dragon abyss. Each of the dark dragons consumes more than 10,000 spiritual crystals. The spiritual crystals obtained by killing all the creatures in the Grey Iron Valley except the giant dragon are only enough to summon a hell dragon that costs 15,000 spiritual crystals. Etc. While Wu Weijing was sighing, he suddenly realized something. After confirming again and again, he discovered a surprise. The Ghost Dragon and Dark Dragon in Dragon Abyss are actually classified as legendary arms rather than legendary creatures according to the judgment of the Lord system. No need to equip additional knights. But that's right, they can't be considered living things anymore. In this case, it wouldn't hurt to recruit them now. Nether Dragon Abyss will randomly refresh 3 to 5 legendary undead dragons every month. The weakest is the Ghost Dragon, then the Corpse Wizard Dragon, then the Frostbone Dragon, and finally the strongest Hell Dragon. It was lucky to have refreshed the Hell Dragon for the first time, so it was natural to recruit it, otherwise it would have been wasted when it was refreshed next month. Not only the Hell Dragon, but also the remaining 2 Ghost Dragons and the troops in other military buildings, Wu Wei also planned to earn enough spiritual crystals before the refresh to recruit them all. 15,000 spiritual crystals disappeared instantly, and a lonely dragon roar suddenly sounded from the deep and silent abyss of the netherworld that shocked the soul. As the roar of the dragon got closer and closer, a giant dragon with white bones on its head and forked dragon horns, gray scales all over its body, and a mist of death crawled out of the abyss, kneeling respectfully at Wu Wei's feet. Wu Wei observed it for a while, and then sighed with some disappointment, "Can't speak." It seems that even the strongest hell dragon is not as intelligent as a real giant dragon. Chapter 11. To be honest, the hell dragon looks like a gray dragon. It is just a little less lively than the living dragon. People who don't know it may mistakenly think it is a mutation that cannot be named. A dragon, not an undead dragon. But a clear difference can be seen intellectually. Because even the legendary level 4 dark dragon in front of me can only act according to orders and can't even speak. Wu Wei didn't know whether the entire undead tribe was like this, or only the undead summoned in his castle were like this. After all, there is no building in this world that can directly summon the legendary dragon unit, so it is difficult for him to make a conclusion without actual comparison. The completion of the Night City heralded that Wu Wei had completed his start, and it was time to start developing with peace of mind. During the 1-year buffer time left for Blue Star people, humans will travel between the 2 worlds once every 7 days. That is to say, stay in the world of Ain for 7 days and stay on Blue Star for 7 days, alternating with each other. Moreover, the 2 worlds do not communicate with each other in terms of time flow, and all lords travel at the same time. For Blue Star humans, the other world will be stationary after crossing, and there is no need to worry about something happening to the territory due to their absence. This situation will continue until 1 year after Blue Star time. Just think about it and know what kind of turbulence and sensation will occur in human society after returning. Danger may not only occur in the world of Ain. What's bad is that after the Lord returns to Blue Star, he can't bring back any foreign objects except his own accumulated strength. And if you die on Blue Star, it will be real death, and there will be no second chance. For safety reasons, Wu Wei must ensure that he has the ability to protect himself before going back. Time is precious. Wu Wei has already used up 1.5 days of the first week. In less than 6 days, he will return to Blue Star. While developing his territory, he must make himself strong enough. In this case, slowly building a territory would be too slow, and fighting to support war would be the best way to develop. For this reason, he immediately ordered, "How can we allow others to sleep soundly on the side of the bed? All units listened to the order and began to use the Grey Iron Valley as the center to eliminate all hostile creatures in the nearby area. Remember, what I want is to kill, not to expel. Except for capturing as many legendary creatures as possible when encountering them, we will not spare any others. Convert them all into undead. As soon as he finished speaking, all the sinful angels and dragons responded in unison. Yes. The subordinates began to fight, and Wu Wei could not stay in the city doing nothing. On the contrary, he still had a lot to do. In the first task, as soon as the energy in his body is restored, he will convert the game materials and equipment props in the consciousness space to see how each game item changes in the continent of Ain. Although the top treasures and game arms cannot be converted so far, he can convert most of them. This is a huge wealth. Even if he does not need to take out all of it now, it is necessary to get it in advance. Understand the specific role and value of these things in the world of Ain. However, there are so many types of things that can be converted, and converting just one of each type is a huge project. Now we can only do it slowly. The second task is to use the personal experience points in hand to speed up the cultivation of the redemption holy glory, so as to enhance one's own strength. Wu Wei soon discovered that by consuming one practice, the efficiency of practice was higher than that of normal accelerated practice, and the effect was better. It was much more cost-effective than simply adding experience and four-dimensional attributes. Wu Wei's own strength continues to increase in this way, and he has been upgraded many times in a short period of time. I believe he will be able to advance soon. The third task is that as soon as the spiritual crystal is in the account, he must quickly convert it into combat power and exchange it for the troops that can be recruited in the city. The troops that can be summoned in the Night City are as follows. Basic Production Unit. Ghost Attendant, the unit price is 10 spirit crystals, and 1,000 can be recruited every month. First Level Combat Unit. Skeleton Soldier, unit price is 50 spirit crystals, 800 can be recruited per month. Second Level Combat Unit. Zombies, the unit price is 100 spirit crystals, and 700 can be recruited every month. Third Level Combat Unit. Skeleton Archer, unit price is 200 spirit crystals, and 600 can be recruited every month. The fourth Level Combat Unit. Skeleton Cavalry, the unit price is 500 spirit crystals, and 500 can be recruited every month. Level 5 Combat Arms. Necromancer Swordsman, unit price is 1,000 spirit crystals, 300 can be recruited per month. 5th Level Combat Unit. Soul Catching Ghost, unit price is 1,100 spiritual crystals, 250 can be recruited per month. Level 6 Combat Unit. Corpse Witch, unit price is 1,500 spirit crystals, 200 can be recruited per month. 6th Level Combat Unit. Ghost Warlock, unit price is 1,600 spirit crystals, 150 can be recruited per month. 6th Level Combat Unit. Vampire, unit price is 1,800 spirit crystals, 100 can be recruited per month. 7th Level Combat Unit. Undead Knight, unit price is 2,500 spirit crystals, 50 can be recruited per month. Up to the 7th Level Undead Knight, there are no troops that can be directly summoned. Higher level troops must be combined with high-level mounts and the effects of the night training camp. The Undead Knight rides an Undead War Horse, which is equipped when summoned. To go up further, you need an Undead Knight and a Ghost War Horse with a unit price of 3,000 spiritual crystals. It can be replaced by 8th level undead creatures or undead monsters. Enter the Dark Knight training camp, and train into the 8th level unit, the Dark Knight. Or an Undead Knight who has experienced hundreds of battles and has reached the full level of the 7th level, plus a Nightmare Horse that summons 5,000 spiritual crystals. It can be replaced by 9th level undead creatures or undead monsters. Enters the Death Knight Tower, and trains to become a 9 level Undead Knight. Class of Soldiers, Death Knight. What surprised Wu Wei the most was that there was a training building called Nether Dragon City in the city. The effect was to combine a 7th level Undead Knight with a legendary undead creature or undead unit to train them into an undead type. The legendary Dragon Knight, the Netherworld Dragon Knight. This is an existence that can reach legendary level 5 to legendary level 7. It is more powerful than the Hell Dragon and is the strongest unit that Night City can create. The existence of this building provides new possibilities for the formation of the Ghost Clan's legendary core in the future. Wu Wei quickly thought of the most cost-effective way to use it. The undead transformation tower can even transform the corpses of legendary creatures at the same level. When the time comes, dragons or other legendary creatures that are unwilling to obey can be directly converted into legendary undead creatures, and then the effects of Netherworld Dragon City can be used to create dragoon soldiers to replace them. Get stronger legendary troops at a low price. Wu Wei was once again glad that he chose the Ghost City to start his development. The development speed in the early stage was really fast. Maybe he would be able to accumulate an entire army of Dragon Knights soon. In the following time, the city of Dark Knight operated like a huge machine. And as more and more undead troops are recruited, the operation speed becomes faster and faster. The cheapest ghost attendants are summoned to do odd jobs. They will be responsible for cleaning the battlefield swept by the sinful angels and dragons, and will bring the corpses back to the Night City. They will be converted into undead creatures or undead soldiers at the same level to increase the size of the army. Other undead units were mixed into groups to occupy various resource points captured by the legendary warriors, and then the ghost attendants established ghost strongholds to garrison them for a long time and exploit resources. Finally, there are the 7th level undead knights, who are sent out to fight on the front line as soon as they are summoned, just to let them gain experience and reach their full level as soon as possible. Even if there are no legendary undead creatures in hand yet, there are still more than 29th level skeletal dragons. These require full-level undead knights to train them into 9th level death knights. Moreover, as the undead knight is the core condition for the synthesis of high-level arms in the future, it is natural that the sooner he can practice it, the better. With the help of the Ghost Clan's snowball-like development model of conquering more and more territories, Wu Wei's power became much stronger in just 3 days. In short, everything is developing in a better direction. The majestic Wu Wei has also set a small goal. Before the buffer period ends, he will completely occupy this mountain range and turn it into his base camp in the world of Al-Ain. To do this, he must have a good understanding of the conditions in this mountain range. Therefore, he deliberately took the time to recall Cold Iron Dragon King Akaros back to the city of Dark Knight. "Master, are you looking for me?" In the square in front of the meeting hall of Mingye City, Akaros knelt down, lowered his head, and greeted Wu Wei. Wu Wei was not polite and asked directly, "No need to be too restrained, I just want to know something from you. I heard the gray-mouthed iron dragons say before that this area is called the Aran Mountains, and it seems that it is still the territory of your Iron Dragon clan. I want to know more about the situation here. As the Dragon King of the clan, you should know it very well, right?" Quote. Akaros nodded slightly and explained. The Aran Mountains have indeed been one of the largest habitats of the Iron Dragon family since ancient times. However, our Iron Dragon family is not the only dragon species living here. We are just one of the most numerous and powerful dragon species in the Aran Mountains. In addition to the major branches of our Iron Dragon family, there are also a large number of chrome dragons, nickel dragons, cobalt dragons, and tungsten dragons living here. The 5 strongest dragon lines recognized by the Ferrous Dragon family all exist here. I have seen tin dragons, lead dragons and aluminum dragons here, but they only live alone, or relatively rare, and do not pose much of a threat. When Wu Wei heard this, he suddenly became interested. Are there so many kinds of giant dragon groups in this mountain range? How are they related to your Iron Dragon family? Except for the Tungsten Dragon clan, which can maintain basic friendship with us, the others are all hostile to each other. The Chromium Dragon clan is our mortal enemy. Having said this, it added, it was not as tense as it is now. It is only in the past 1,000 years that we have become hostile to each other. The main reason is that with the development and growth of the major dragon systems, the living space of the Aran Mountains has become insufficient. Small ethnic groups often clash over territorial issues, and as hatred continues to accumulate, it gradually evolves into conflicts between dragons. Our Iron Dragon lineage has occupied the largest area here, forcing many small dragon groups from other dragon lines to leave the Aran Mountains to find another habitat, so naturally we have become the public enemy of other dragons. When Wu Wei heard this, he suddenly wondered, since the living area is not enough, why not develop to the outside world? Is it necessary to hate each other for the living space? The continent of Ain is infinitely vast. With the strength of the legendary dragon, where can it go? Quote. Akaros was a little embarrassed when asked, and after being silent for a while, he explained, although this is true, the dragons living in the Aran Mountains are generally reluctant to leave, because it is safer here than the outside world. Quote, although our Ferris dragon clan is an out-and-out legendary dragon species, our status on the mainland is very embarrassing. The Gem Dragon Clan, the Five-Color Dragon Clan and even all the clans on the mainland regard us as a branch of the Metal Dragon Clan, but the mainstream metal dragons they generally do not recognize that we are the same race as them, and even in order to draw a clear line between them, the Metal Dragon Clan will instinctively expel us, the Ferris Dragon Clan. This has caused us to be despised and hostile by the three major dragon clans at the same time. Other races also think that we are the dragon clan that is best to bully. Therefore, except for the few large-scale habitats of the Ferris dragon clan known in the world, no one dares to provoke them. Lone and small Ferrisaur groups often face endless attacks and captures. Only then did Wu Wei realize that life for the dragons was not easy either. However, the Ferris dragon clan is a huge dragon species with many branches. It is no problem to establish a separate series, but it is so weak that it is about to be expelled from the three major dragon series. Probably because he only knows how to keep quiet, is too timid to others, and has a very homely temperament. Metal dragons and five-color dragons have long begun to follow the general trend and cooperate with the lord races on the mainland to seize world sovereignty step by step. They don't know how to learn more, adapt to the times, find a few intelligent races with potential to cooperate, and take advantage of the situation to improve themselves. Racial influence and competition for mainstream hegemony. The Gem Dragons, who generally don't like fighting, know that they can't afford to offend and hide away. With their racial talents, they open up living space in the major affiliated planes of the Iron World and hide in other worlds to thrive. However, the Ferris Dragons only know how to eat. Waiting to die, it's not surprising that he behaves like this. After Wu Wei figured out the joints, his eyes suddenly lit up. It doesn't matter if he has no future, but he was given a chance. Thinking of this, Wu Wei spoke up and encouraged. In my opinion, the Iron Dragon clan just lacked some strategic vision and failed to adapt to the changes of the times, which led to being crushed by the general trend. If there is a wise commander in charge, it is not impossible to reverse the decline. Possible. Forget it, since you are now working under me, I will reluctantly take over this important task. Wu Wei said shamelessly, then suddenly changed the subject and asked Ikaros, by the way, I thought I heard you say before that you have a tribe of your own. Speaking of which, since you are the Dragon King, you should be a member of the tribe. Leader, right? When Ikaros heard this, his heart suddenly skipped a beat, and he already felt something was not good. Master, what do you mean? If people don't tell secret words, I'll just tell them. Wu Wei paused and said in a deceptive way, you go back and persuade your compatriots to join our big family. Wouldn't it be a beautiful thing for us to rebuild the glory of the Iron Dragon clan and create a new future together? Ikaros finally agreed to Wu Wei's request, saying that he would try his best to persuade the Han Iron Dragon clan to join him. But before leaving, he explained the situation of his clan in advance. The Han Iron Dragon clan is one of the smallest branches in the Iron Dragon family. The number has always been rare. There are only about 20 adult dragons in the clan. It is conservatively estimated that there may not be more than 100 Han Iron Dragons on the entire continent. This ethnic group in the Loon Mountains is already the largest Han Iron Dragon ethnic group. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to become the Dragon King. The point of saying this is that Wu Wei should not expect to bring back hundreds or thousands of giant dragons. He, the Dragon King, is just a parallel import. Wu Wei said he understood and just let him do it. There are probably nearly 1,000 Ferris dragons in the Aran Mountains, and there are nearly 10 species in the Iron Dragon family alone, such as red iron dragons, black iron dragons, white iron dragons, gray iron dragons, and hemp iron dragons. There may be hundreds of dragons, iron dragons, cloud iron dragons, steel dragons, etc. in total. But it's not your own. You have to eat the food one bite at a time. It's a surprise to bring back a few. In short, there are no too few legendary creatures. As soon as Ikaros left, Wu Wei's life returned to its previous state. Apart from eating, drinking and having diarrhea, practicing takes up most of the day. Of course, besides practicing, he didn't have much to do, and he didn't even have the conditions to cook himself a delicious meal. On the 5th day, the size of the army had expanded to 5,000. This was not counting the army of undead creatures, only the soldiers. The 200 miles surrounding the Grey Iron Valley were also cleared and occupied. Wu Wei finally broke through the second level, and all four-dimensional attributes exceeded the 10-point mark. Compared with ordinary people, he is now equivalent to the level of Superboy. Wu Wei decided to take it easy and do what a lord should do. First, he inspected the territory. He remembered that there were some special buildings in the Night City that could enhance his strength. Previously, he had reserved his spiritual crystals to recruit undead soldiers, so he was reluctant to spend them. Now that he had more money, he could give it a try. When passing through Netherworld Longyuan, he took advantage of the situation and recruited the 2 ghost dragons inside. This is a soul dragon composed of pure death energy, which can freely transform between the incorporeal ghost form and the corporeal bone dragon form. The strength of the legendary level 1 can only be at the bottom among all legendary creatures, but it is still a legendary unit after all, so he can't help but dislike it. Asking the ghost dragon to go out and open up territory, Wu Wei entered a towering magic tower with the last 3,000 soul crystals. The Necromantic Magic Tower is a place where lords and heroes learn magic in the game, but after arriving in this world, it becomes a place to learn lord skills and war spells. Wu Wei's lord experience has all been used to upgrade. His current lord level has reached level 8, but he has no lord skills, so the skill points are all useless. Lord Attribute Column. Lord Occupation. None. Lord Level. LV8. Lord Attributes. Speed. 2. Attack. 4. Defense. 1. Intelligence. 5. Will. 1. Mana. 60/60ths. Dominance value. 8,000. Lord skills. None. War spells. Military formation Savior Divine Power. Lord skill points. 8. Lord attribute points. 0. Control the territory. City of Night, Glimmer Camp. After entering the Undead Magic Tower, a simple interface pops up. There are 5 skill scrolls available for redemption. If you are not satisfied, you can spend 1,000 soul crystals to refresh. Because this is the first time to redeem Lord skills, the 5 skills are very good, and can even be said to be luxurious. Lord skill, Underworld Spirituality LV1. Released on all corpses within sight, there is a certain chance of summoning undead creatures or soldiers of the same level as the corpse's original strength to join your team. The more corpses whose levels exceed your own strength, the higher the failure rate. The higher it is, each time it consumes 50% of the current mana plus 20 points of mana, requires 500 spiritual crystals. Lord skills, Frenzy of the Dead LV1. Increase the attributes of all undead creatures under your leadership by 5% for 10 minutes, consuming 15 mana points each time, requires 1,000 spiritual crystals. Lord skill, Reign of Death LV1. Increases the damage of all undead units under your leadership in long-range attacks by 10%, increases the frequency of long-range attacks by 30%, lasts for 10 minutes, and consumes 5 mana points each time, requires 1,000 spirit crystals. War spell, Death Ripple Legendary consumes all current mana points to strike an area within sight with undead spells. The attack range and spell damage are determined based on the mana points consumed. The attacked unit will fall into soul damage state, continuously receiving soul damage and unable to use spell abilities, 8,000 spirit crystals required. War spell, Military Formation Death Sea Knight. It can only be activated when the number of undead cavalry type units you lead reaches more than 10,000, and the number of knight type units of 7th level and above in the team reaches more than 200 to form an army. The more troops there are in the formation and the stronger their strength, the more powerful the military formation will be. The lower limit of the power is the Holy Domain level, and the upper limit is the first level of the Divine Realm level. Requires 10,000 spirit crystals. Wu Wei said that I want them all, but he can't afford the 2 war spells now, so he can only buy the 3 lord skills first. Fortunately, as long as he doesn't actively refresh it, the scrolls in the magic tower will remain there no matter how long it takes. He can slowly save enough money to buy them again. He learned both the underworld spiritualism and the frenzy of the dead by himself, and used skill points to upgrade each to level 5. The effects were significantly improved. Underworld spiritualism LV5. Released on all corpses within sight, there is a certain chance of summoning undead creatures or soldiers of the same level as the corpse's original strength to join your team. The more corpses whose levels exceed your own strength, the failure rate will be relatively higher. Each time it consumes 50% of the current mana value plus 20 points. Frenzy of the Dead LV5. Increase the attributes of all undead creatures under your leadership by 30% for 60 minutes, consuming 65 mana points each time. Wu Wei was very satisfied and was going to lead the team to try the effect himself, but then the system prompt suddenly sounded. The Tianshu Sin domain, the birthplace of the Sin Angel race, has been completely created. You can enter and view it at any time. It's already generated so quickly. Wu Wei was pleasantly surprised when he heard the prompt. The birthplace of a race is equivalent to a small arms plane that continuously produces arms. The birthplaces of legendary arms are extremely rare in the entire Iron Continent. Only a few famous legendary races are known. Titans, angels, and demons are all extremely powerful races. Even the dominant race on the continent can only bow down and cooperate with them when facing them. Just like the Metal Dragon clan cooperates with the human nations of Ain in a high profile, allocating a certain number of Dragon Rider contract test quotas to each country every year, in order to control the actions of the human nations. The Angel clan serves as the highest branch of the Holy Sea's forces, and has actually controlled the Overlord-level forces on this continent. The Demon clan is an Overlord-level intelligent race created by the Demon clan. They have been fighting for years and control large areas of territory. Even the Titan clan, which has long been hidden from the world, has left a large number of myths and legends in this world, which is awe-inspiring. The birthplace of a newly born legendary race, even the superior gods will fight for it at all costs, and this will trigger a war of gods that will destroy the world. Wu Wei subconsciously believed that such a top-notch small world could never be easily built, even if it took several years. However, he did not expect that it would be completed in only 5 days. This is obviously not normal. But Wu Wei soon knew the reason. With a thought in his mind, his figure appeared in a world shrouded in mist, holy and empty. Wu Wei only felt that when he was here, his consciousness could spread to any corner of this world at will, and he could even control everything in this world, becoming almost omniscient and omnipotent. But it was also because of this ability that Wu Wei discovered the flaws of this world. Too small. Not only is it small, but it also only has the most basic structure, which is the 13 realms of heaven, earth, and demons. Except for a complete Sintian origin pool in the Shenyantian, the highest level of the heaven, the other areas are all empty, with no life or buildings, let alone the rules and special powers of each world. Wu Wei soon knew everything. This special plane called Tianshu Sin domain is just a prototype, and it needs to continue to grow before it can gradually develop into a complete legendary arms plane. Investing in world cornerstones and various top-level resources can speed up this growth, but those are god-level resources, and it is impossible for Wu Wei to obtain them in a short time. Currently, there is only one way to make this world grow normally: generate more sinful angels. When there are more and more sin angels under Wu Wei's banner, it means that the ethnic group is growing, and the birthplace of the race will naturally develop. The current Tianshu Sin domain can generate 10 sin angels every natural month. These do not require Wu Wei to spend any resources. Secondly, if you invest spiritual crystals, you can also generate additional sin angels. The energy of 8,000 spiritual crystals can generate a sin angel holy child. The holy child can grow up and reach the legendary level 3 initial strength in 2 natural months of living in the sin realm. This method can generate up to 30 holy children every month. This price is very low. Wu Wei needs 10,000 spirit crystals to recruit a legendary level 1 ghost dragon. He can't summon many of them in a month. With 8,000 spirit crystals in 2 months, he can get a legendary level 3 ghost dragon. Sin Angel, this is already a very good deal. And it can generate 30 of them every month, which is amazing. Looking at it now, it is just a prototype of the birthplace of the Sin Angel race. It can provide him with 10 free legendary Sin Angels every month. At the same time, he can exchange for 30 delayed legendary Sin Angels at the price of 240,000 spiritual crystals. Angel. This is the power of the birthplace of race. The prototype is so powerful. When it grows into a legendary military plane in the future, I really can't imagine what it will be like. But it was good, but there was one thing that gave him a headache. That means the already scarce spiritual crystals are not enough. Spirit crystals are needed to summon undead troops, and to redeem war spells. Now that there is Tianshu Sin domain, spiritual crystals are even more needed. The Legion of Sinful Angels is Wu Wei's biggest trump card. The sooner it reaches a large scale and meets the conditions for use of the military formation, the more confident he will be, so the generation of sinful angels must be given top priority. Compared to that, everything else can be put aside. Wu Wei had a change of thought and had already exited the Tianshu Sin domain. There is only one thought in his mind right now: where to get more spiritual crystals. It seems that just cleaning up wild monsters can no longer satisfy my development. I must find a way to contact the Overlord race forces and find new sources of spiritual crystals. Thinking of this, Wu Wei summoned Alexiel. Holy Lord, are you looking for me? The peak-level hero of the sanctuary who has mastered the space system ability is so fast. One moment he was leading the battle on the front line, and the next moment he was in front of Wu Wei to greet him. Wu Wei ordered him, Kessir, you are the fastest, and you are also my most capable subordinate and the only hero, so I have to give you an important task now. The commander of Sin Angel, who was so beautiful that he was bubbling with beauty, immediately knelt on the ground. I am willing to serve the Holy Lord. I want you to hide your wings, disguise yourself a little, and briefly explore the distribution of intelligent races around the Aran Mountains to see what large forces exist in the outside world. Remember, they can communicate and have the potential for trade and cooperation. Race. Yes, if there are many, focus on the strongest ones. You must keep a low profile and put your own safety first. Remember to pass back some basic information within 2 days. Wu Wei thought for a while and explained again. As the creator of the Sin Angel clan, Wu Wei can communicate with his Sin Angel subordinates and ignore obstacles and distances. Therefore, the Sin Angels are not only his fighting ace, but also the most suitable unit for intelligence collection. However, due to their racial characteristics, the sinful angels are too simple-minded and easily trust others. Therefore, Wu Wei could only send his most stable and experienced Alexiel to spy on the information. The departure of the strongest will inevitably slow down the development of surrounding territories, but fortunately Wu Wei now has new combat power to supplement it, which is enough to make up for it. With a thought, the holy light descended, and 10 new Sin Angels appeared in front of Wu Wei. See the Holy Lord. As soon as the 10 sinful angels appeared, they half-kneeled and saluted Wu Wei, showing great respect. Wu Wei motioned them to get up, and then observed them carefully. The new 10 Sin Angels, 7 women and 3 men, are all dressed in pure white clothing. The female Sin Angel even wears a cool outfit that exposes her navel. With her graceful waist and pure and beautiful face, she looks very attractive. Wu Wei shook his head when he saw it. No, the strength of the newborn Sin Angel without a full set of equipment is only legendary level 3. If he meets the adult dragon tribe, he will have no advantage. Just looking good is of no use. Wu Wei would rather they dress more conservatively. Unfortunately, although the arms in the game also have standard equipment, they are directly bound to the arms and do not exist independently like in the current world, so even if he wants to manifest a batch of arms and equipment, there is no way. However, he quickly thought that he still had a building dedicated to the Sin Angel race that he had not put in yet. Maybe there will be a solution there. However, Wu Wei has not yet decided where to place it. After all, the Ghost City of Night is certainly not suitable for placing race-specific buildings with holy attributes. After thinking carefully, he decided to place it in the Shimmer Camp. It happened that he hadn't gone back to see it for several days, so he left the Grey Iron Valley with 10 newborn Sin Angels and returned to the Shimmer Camp. After more than 5 days of development, the trees around Shimmer Camp have been cut down, and the forest land has been reclaimed into fertile farmland. Several brand new wooden houses are neatly arranged in the camp, and farmers can be seen coming and going from time to time. A large amount of wood and tree roots were stacked together, which was the result of 5 days of work by farmers. As a basic production unit, farmers have the ability to collect basic resources such as mining and felling trees. They can also cultivate fertile land for planting and build farmhouses and other types of buildings. However, growing food requires the Lord to provide crop seeds, and building functional buildings other than farmhouses requires the Lord to provide drawings. Wu Wei has no seeds in his hand, nor in his consciousness space, because seeds are not required to produce food in the game. There are a lot of architectural drawings, but unfortunately, those drawings are all high-end goods in the late game. Wu Wei does not have the required materials and conditions. Even if they are taken out, the farmers will not be able to build them. This is also the reason why Wu Wei temporarily gave up the development of Shimmer City. Only farmhouses can be built in the territory now, and apart from being used to house farmers, farmhouses have only one function: to attract refugees to join the territory from time to time, and to convert them into basic production units, farmers. Now, except for the 2 Sin Angels, there are only about 30 farmers left in Shimmer Camp. Before Wu Wei got the architectural drawings of other military units, no matter how developed the Shimmer Camp was, it was just a gathering place for farmers without the protection of force. This is the sad thing about not having a random combat unit at the beginning, and you can't even build any unit building. In addition, even if you randomly select a first-level soldier, you will be able to unlock the corresponding barracks building qualifications. When the basic production troops appear in the inherent farmhouses in the territory, you can at least build the corresponding military buildings, and initially have the potential for development. This is an invisible benefit at the beginning, but it is a pity that even so, Wu Wei did not make it. If it were not for his great talent, he would have been eaten alive by the beasts and monsters around him, and he would have hit GG. This also shows how bad Wu Wei's luck was originally. But after all, it is my initial territory, and the geographical advantage is still good. It would be a pity to give it up. If you use game props to create something, it may not be impossible to develop in the future, at least it is good to use it to deceive others. Now, Wu Wei is going to put the exclusive building Sintian Tower that was rewarded when he created the Sin Angel here. I found an open place, and with a thought, endless divine light shined, and a huge gray and white tower that reached the sky rose from the ground, straight into the sky. The giant tower is simple and holy, and looks particularly spectacular. As soon as he released it, Wu Wei knew the function of this building. It is actually a top-notch multifunctional exclusive building. Further train the Sin Angels to enhance their combat effectiveness and ability diversity. By investing in high-grade materials and spiritual crystals, you can create various types of military-specific equipment for the Sin Angels. Sin Angels who meet the conditions can be transferred to specializations, such as the Judgment Sin Angel whose main job is combat, the Psalm Sin Angel whose main job is auxiliary, the Resurgence Sin Angel whose main job is healing, etc. It can even be taught to the heroic units of the Sin Angel family, including lords, various skills and war spells. Others can also be used as teleportation arrays, defense towers, shelters and other defensive buildings. What surprised Wu Wei the most was that one feature caught his attention. This feature is called Saint Conversion. It can convert qualified individual soldiers into innocent saints, making them an affiliated unit of the Sin Angel family. Their lives will be sublimated, their ranks will soar, and under the leadership of Wu Wei, they will also enjoy the bonus of the title of Holy Lord of Redemption. If there are angel-type legendary troops invested under Wu Wei's banner, he can directly convert them into special Sin Angels of the same level, converted Sin Angels. For example, Archangels and Fallen Angels are the 2 most famous legendary races in the Iron Continent. If Wu Wei conquers these 2 angel armies in the future, he can convert them into Sin Angels who are absolutely loyal to him through Sintian Tower. Not only is he more loyal, but he can also enjoy his title bonus and military formation bonus, and his command points are not taken up. It looks like a level transformation, but in fact, the combat power has soared. After Wu Wei read all the functions, he suddenly decided to build Shimmer Camp into a special territory centered around Sintian Tower. When I have an idea in my mind, countless thoughts jump out of my mind. Soon, a blueprint for a multiracial integration country centered around Sintian Tower was initially formed in his mind. Thinking of this, Wu Wei took out a few egg-sized city hearts of various colors, and the corners of his mouth showed a flamboyant arc. As the most useful game prop in Wu Wei's hands today, the heart of the city is naturally the most suitable item for conversion and manifestation in the early stage. Wu Wei exchanged as much as he had. He only regretted that he had not collected hundreds or even thousands of them in the game. Now he has 2 hearts of Tree City from the Elf tribe, 1 tribal heart from the Orc tribe, 1 heart of the mountain city from the dwarf tribe, 1 heart of the dungeon from the underground force, and 1 secret castle from the swamp tribe. Heart, a heart of the abyss of the demon clan, and a heart of the academy of the wizard clan. There are 8 city hearts in total, all of which are elementary city hearts that were not sold after conquering the city in the game. Wu Wei decided to use 7 of them in the area around Shimmer Camp. Each force's city uses 1, plus the human territory in the center, to create a unique territory that brings together 8 forces. This is another huge project, and it is necessary to carefully consider the site selection in the early stage, and then capture the territory so that construction can actually begin. Rice must be eaten bite by bite, and cities must be built bit by bit. Wu Wei exchanged some high-end materials from the consciousness space, and then built 10 sets of judgment suits specifically for the sinful angel at the price of 500 spiritual crystals each. Sacred platinum, pure gold, solar iron mother. These top-grade materials are the highest standard materials in the game. Not to mention military equipment, they are more than enough to build Lord equipment. If there were no lower-grade materials, his current usage would be a waste of resources. Fortunately, high investment naturally brings high returns. With the support of super gang equipment, the combat effectiveness of these 10 sinful angels has reached the peak of legendary level 7, which is not inferior even to the Dragon Knights. With these 10 mighty sinful angels with gorgeous equipment, Wu Wei first attacked the lush forest east of Shimmer Camp. That was the site chosen by Wu Wei to build the Elf Tree City. Because it is only the outer area of the Aran Mountains, although the forest is dense, the terrain is flat, which is very suitable for the elves to build a city. Wu Wei soon found a beautiful ginkgo forest, backed by a hill, with a rushing stream running through it, peaceful and leisurely. The only thing that makes the scenery more unpleasant is that a group of disgusting giant spiders have settled here to breed and breed. With their long, fluffy legs and blood-red eyes, they look both cruel and disgusting. Fortunately, although they look disgusting and move very quickly, jumping up and down in the forest and showing great hunting skills, they are no match for the legendary soldiers. As soon as 20 or so large spiders surrounded them, they were cut into a pile of stumps by the holy light sword energy that the sinful angels casually chopped off. It was only after contact and fighting that Wu Wei saw their information. 5th level monster, demon hunting poison spider. A gregarious monster that can use poisonous acid to attack from a distance. It is agile and good at tying prey with spider silk. It is a very dangerous hunter. The group of 5th level monsters living in groups can become a dominant group on the outside of the mountain range. No wonder they can occupy such a geomantic treasure. Unfortunately, they met an opponent like Wu Wei, and now they can't even give up their territory and retreat. 8 legendary level 7 Sin Angels flew to the ginkgo tree crown, holding the Sword of Judgment, and began a one-sided massacre. Hundreds of spider monsters were cleared away in less than an hour. This was because most of the time was spent searching for the target. Soon the system sent a prompt. Your troops successfully occupied the ginkgo forest. You can build your own buildings here and send troops to garrison them. Wu Wei smiled slightly and threw out an elf city heart. The green crystal ball fell into the soil on the hill, emitting a green light full of vitality. A bud quickly emerged from the ground, and then grew wildly at a speed visible to the naked eye, and soon grew into a large green tree. The canopy is so large that the shade even covers half of the ginkgo forest. This is the core of the elf city, the Tree of Life. With the appearance of the Tree of Life, large trees began to grow out of the ground in the surrounding area, automatically tangled and twisted into various exquisite buildings as they grew. In the blink of an eye, the entire gorgeous ginkgo forest gained an extra layer of green, turning into a dreamlike, harmonious and natural forest city. Although it is not as large as the Night City in terms of area and scale, it has a unique scenery. Wu Wei nodded after seeing it. The Dark Path Elf Tree City is indeed the race with the best urban scenery among the major mainstream forces in the game. This shape is indeed beautiful and makes people feel happy. Standing in this city, it seems that even the breeze blowing through the forest has become a little more elegant and light. Wu Wei watched it for a while, and then called up the Lord system to check the details of the city. A primary city is also a territory at the level of a small city. Although a sparrow is small, it has all the internal organs. Among them are the Elf Tree House, Elf Arsenal, Dryad Woodland, Dryad Factory, Magic Tree Archery Range, Roadwalking Bird Farm, forest cavalry training ground, sword chanting canopy, ancient tree arrow tower, fruit plantation and other buildings. In addition to the arsenal that produces arms and weapons, there are all recruitment buildings for the 5 major elven basic arms, from the basic production of arms, elves, to the 5th level elven sword singers. They are: First Order Wooden Puppet, 2nd level Wooden Guard, a 3rd level Elf Archer, 4th level Chocobo Cavalry, a 5th level Elf Swordzinger. The elementary elf tree city can only have 5th level military buildings. Later, the 6th level Elf Elementalist, the 7th level Silver Pegasus Knight, and the 8th level Tree Shepherd are buildings that can only be unlocked by continuously upgrading the city level. As for the 9th level Silver Moon Knight riding a unicorn, chimera, Moonlight White Tiger, and the 10th level Sun Crown Knight riding a golden dragon or phoenix, in the game they are arms that can only be unlocked in the Elf King City, but now it seems that because the rules of the world are different, I am afraid that even if you upgrade to the Royal City, you will not be able to directly summon legendary troops like the Night City. Of course, there is no need to think so far ahead now. The emergence of this tree city has already determined the future development strategy of Shimmer Leader. Wu Wei thought for a while and named it Starting Tree City. Just when Wu Wei was thinking about which troops to summon in the Tree City, the message from Alexiel's heart made him slightly stunned. Wu Wei did not expect that the forces outside the Aran Mountains would be so complicated. According to Alexiel's report, starting from the Gold Rush wasteland more than 7,000 kilometers away behind the Shimmering Territory, dozens of native human countries have settled here. Azeta Kingdom Alliance. In the endless forest directly bordering the Aran Mountains, there are still 2 elven empires, the Kanching Empire Yalindal established by the Forest Elves, and the Silver Empire established by the aristocrats of the Elves, the Silver Elf Clan. Moon Empire. The Elf Empire and the Alliance of Kingdoms are fighting against each other, but they are working together to fight against the Orc Stormrage Court in the Lonely Wasteland and the Demahuman Tribe Federation in the Lost Swamp. These 4 races, totaling 100 national-level forces, are the strongest force organization outside the Aran Mountains. In addition, there is a dwarf force in the corner of the country, the Flamehammer Clan. They are not enemies of any force, but they are vaguely feared and attracted by all forces due to their strong strength. Alexiel also inquired that in recent years, the Holy See has also begun to preach in several member states of the Kingdom Alliance, which has aroused the anger of the top leaders of the Alliance who have supreme power. It is rumored that there have been many conflicts between the Archangel Army and the Dragon Knight Army. Violent conflict. Even battles at the sanctuary level have not never happened. Both sides had victories and defeats, and the Holy See's secretly extended hand was repulsed, but it did not give up its missionary work. The Dragon Knight Legion that the Kingdom Alliance cobbled together was inferior to the Holy See's Archangel Legion in both numbers and collective combat. After suffering several hidden losses, their attitude was not as tough as before. Now the forces on both sides have entered a buffer period. The Kingdom Alliance is waiting for the Gold and Silver Empire, their big backer, to come forward for them, while the Missionary Expeditionary Force of the Holy See is waiting for the Kingdom Alliance to start a war with King Stormrage, so that they can take the opportunity to add insult to injury and invade the Alliance's territory. After listening to the report, Wu Wei was very surprised. How did this beautiful girl get so much information in such a short period of time? This intelligence-gathering ability is quite strong. As a result, Alexiel said that as a wandering knight, she had now become a guest of the Grand Duke Bluestone, the Duke of Bluestone on the southern border of the Kingdom Alliance and the border of the Cornflower Kingdom. She learned all this from the other party. She also got a secret ancient message from the other party. It is said that the reason why the major kingdoms of the Kingdom Alliance established their kingdoms near the Aran Mountains was mainly because they received the promise of the Metal Dragon clan. As long as they guard and monitor the Aran Mountains and take a good look at the Iron Dragon clan, each country will be able to get more places to participate in the Dragon Rider test and realize the military support of the Metal Dragon clan. In other words, the Kingdom Alliance is a secret move played by the Metal Dragon clan, specifically targeting the Ferrous Dragon clan who are oppressed by them, so that the Ferrous Dragon clan does not dare to expand to the outside world. Many of the iron dragons that had come out of the Aran Mountains in search of habitat in the outside world were intercepted by the major kingdoms and were either killed or captured and forcibly enslaved. Alexel also said that one of the 3 dragon knights under the Bluestone Archduke was riding a captured adult chromium dragon, and he also had 2 immature white-mouthed iron dragons in his hands. He seduced Alexel on the condition of becoming a dragon knight, hoping that she, the mysterious, beautiful, and powerful knight, would be loyal to him. This is an irresistible temptation for any wandering knight, but unfortunately he doesn't know what kind of person he is recruiting. After Wu Wei thought for a while, he asked in his mind, what is the national strength of the Cornflower Kingdom? What is the domestic situation like? Please tell me in detail. Alexiel's voice soon sounded in his mind. The Cornflower Kingdom is one of the most powerful countries in the Kingdom Alliance. There are 18 dragon knights in the country. 9 of them are in the hands of the royal family. The other 9 are in the hands of a prince and 2 dukes. Except for in addition, there is a Holy Domain level Dragon Knight Commander and a Holy Domain Magician. However, the Bluebonnet Kingdom is experiencing turmoil recently. Years of head-on fighting with the Stormrage Court have overwhelmed this border country, and its national power is weakening day by day. But what really led to the decline of this country is that the royal family of the Cornflower Kingdom has inherited the 3 Cornflower Sapphire Dragons from generation to generation and respected them. However, this also caused them to be unfairly treated by the Metal Dragon clan. In the past 20 years, no other knight has been favored by the Metal Dragon, pass the Dragon Knight examination, and become a Dragon Knight. Now the people have expressed doubts about the royal family, and the nobles are also alienated from the royal family. The 3 most powerful nobles, including Grand Duke Bluestone, are even more dominant. They will listen to the instructions but not the propaganda. They have already turned their backs. In short, this country is in a state of crisis, and Wu Wei feels that there are a lot of reasons for this. If he could secretly steal a human kingdom, it would definitely be very beneficial to his early development. At that time, the whole country can support one place and develop a shimmering territory, which is more than enough. Thinking of this, Wu Wei gave her an order, hold him first. This guy should be useful in the future. You should also pay more attention to the intelligence from all parties in the Kingdom Alliance to see if there are any ways to make money. The Sintian Tower has been launched. You can teleport back to the Glimmer territory at any time. Remember to get some architectural drawings back for urgent use. When things get back on track here, I'll go to the Cornflower Kingdom myself. When morning dawned on the 7th day after Wu Wei came to the continent of Ain, Alexiel also walked out of the Sintian Tower. She brought back to Wu Wei the military building drawings that Shimmering Territory desperately needed. The summoning building for the human race's first-level soldier, the Lancer Battalion. The building of the human race's second-level weapon, the Sword and Shield Soldier, the Sword Camp. The building of the human race's third-level archer unit, Archer Camp. The building of the human race's fourth-level light cavalry, the Cavalry Battalion. The summoning building for swordsmen of the 5th level of the human race, the Sword Fighting Field. Then there are the architectural drawings of the human race's blacksmith shop, stables, and arrow tower. It's enough for a shimmer collar in a short period of time. But Wu Wei was a little strange. He asked, I didn't give you funds when you left. Where did you get these drawings? I helped Grand Duke Bluestone tame a few unruly 9th level magic beasts, the Storm Dragon Eagle, and let them settle in the Sky Beast Nest in Bluestone territory. This solved one of his problems. These drawings were requested from him by his subordinates. Reward. Alexiel replied truthfully, telling all the details. Wu Wei recalled the scene where she had forcibly contracted with the Cold Iron Dragon King, so he did not doubt whether she had the ability to conquer the 9th level monster. As for the Sky Beast Nest, Wu Wei also knew something about it. This is a functional building used to raise high-level flying warcraft. It has the ability to speed up the reproduction of warcraft groups and increase their growth rate. It is equivalent to an advanced version of stables and horse farms. It is one of the necessary buildings to form the Sky Knight, the 9th level human race. Starting from the 7th level, mounts are an important part of the combat effectiveness of high-level units. Even the 8th and 9th level cavalry types rely on the bonus of their mounts for most of their strength. For example, the 7th level knights of the human race ride war horses, and the combat power mainly lies in the knights themselves. No matter how good the blood of the war horse is, it is only an auxiliary. However, an 8th level Earth Knight is required to equip an 8th level Earth walking monster, Terror Tyrannosaurus, Earth-walking dragon and other mounts, and use the power of the mount to forcibly increase the knight's combat power by 1 level. The same applies to the 9th level Sky Knight. Not only does the knight himself need to be outstanding in strength, but the mount he rides must also be a high-level flying monster, such as a flying dragon, royal griffin, dragon eagle and other mounts with at least 9th level strength. This makes the Sky Knights not only have strong comprehensive strength, but also have the ability to compete for air supremacy on the battlefield. The combination of the two can even crush ordinary 9th level monsters. If the Dragon Knight doesn't come out, the Sky Knight will be the god of death on the battlefield. Every Sky Knight is a precious combat power. If a certain number is gathered to form a small military formation, it can even compete with the Dragon Knight. Alexel helped Archduke Bluestone conquer the Dragon Eagles. His Sky Dragon nest can use these Storm Dragon Eagles as the core to breed 9th level mounts of the same variety. In the future, small-scale mass production of Sky Knights will be possible. This is a very important matter for a duke, because only unified arms can form a military formation, and the upper limit of a military formation composed of 9th level arms is enough to resist the existence of the sanctuary level. This is enough to be called the power to destroy a country. It is no wonder that Grand Duke Bluestone is willing to reward her with architectural blueprints and other hard materials commonly used in the mainland. Wu Wei even felt a little bit at a loss. If you show this kind of ability, it will be even more impossible for him to let you go. It's good luck for him to meet you. Compared to what you did for him, some drawings are nothing. Alexel saw what he was thinking and said, "Originally, my subordinate wanted the architectural drawings of the 6th level troops, but the old fox refused to give them, saying that he didn't have them. I had no choice but to give up and look for another one in the future." Chance. Wu Wei nodded. High-level blueprints are extremely important strategic materials. He is probably afraid that you will start your own business after getting the blueprints. Actually, it doesn't matter. These are enough for now. I will figure out a way for higher-level units myself. Wu Wei has not forgotten that although his founding holy book has used the free permission to create a race once a year, the free permission to create a unit in the first month has not yet been used. Now he can't even use the extra number of troop creation times, because the required divine power or experience points are too much, and he can't even get them together. It is precisely for this reason that free usage times become more and more precious and must not be wasted. Since Wu Wei plans to develop in the outside world in the near future, he needs some powerful troops to protect his safety. Legendary racial units like the Sin Angels are still too eye-catching. Although they can shrink their wings, if they are accidentally discovered, they will still easily attract unbearable attention at this stage. Needless to say, as long as any god discovers the existence of the Sin Angel, it will inevitably lead to disaster. Therefore, he now needs a group of powerful protective soldiers who are not so eye-catching in appearance, but strong enough to ensure his life safety. After explaining the matters related to the undercover, Alexiel used his space ability to teleport back to the blue stone collar of the Cornflower Kingdom. This move of the holy glory of the sky and the descent of the divine sky can only be carried out in advance. By setting up an anchor point, Alexiel can instantly teleport to the designated location from anywhere. Wu Wei used the blueprints on Shimmering Leader, unlocking the construction permission of these buildings. After inputting the materials and arranging the construction tasks one by one, Wu Wei no longer hesitated and asked the 2 Sin Angels to guard the door of the Shimmer Leader's council hall while he considered the creation of custom troops. He wants to complete the creation of arms before returning to Blue Star for the first time. If successful, the possible rewards should be able to strengthen his personal strength again. Which troop template will you use this time? The highest priority choice is naturally the legendary arms, but after excluding the Sinful Angel, Wu Wei now clearly knows that the few legendary arms in the template details are all racial in nature. If you want to create them, you will most likely need race creation permission to succeed. So now I can only give up. Among the rest of the army templates, it is natural to choose the template that meets the conditions and has the highest level of potential. Considering the next plan, it is best to choose the human army. Soon he selected 2 arms as the final targets. Starting from the 5th level, it can reach up to the legendary level of the Long Night Guard. Starting from the 7th level, the Dragon-Blooded Warrior can also reach the legendary level. In previous games, both of them were human arms with extremely high potential, and they were completely different from the basic arms. However, although the Long Night Guards will have certain spell-type abilities in the later stages and are more comprehensive, this unit is actually a special attack unit against the undead, and its applicability is still inferior to the simple and crude Dragon Blood Warriors. In the end, Wu Wei chose the latter. He planned to create the Long Night Guards unit later. After careful recall and consideration, and after confirming that there were no problems, Wu Wei took out the founding scripture, which can be called a military editor, and started writing. In ancient times, the evil dragon ravaged the world of Middle-earth, and all races on the continent suffered greatly. The people were displaced and suffered unspeakably. The dragon possesses powerful power and magic. Even immortals like elves are far from being their opponents. The world has been shrouded in the shadow of dragon wings all year round. Until the appearance of a hero brought new hope to mankind. He was the dragon-slaying warrior, Hegnev. According to legend, he is the crown prince of an ancient hidden kingdom, the kingdom of warrior immortals, Odindel. He has the blood of humans, elves and giants flowing through him at the same time. He was born with the blessing of fairies and was born with powerful powers. With his talent and magic power, although he is not the eldest son, he is the most powerful and most beloved prince in history. Hegnev felt deeply the pain of living beings under the rule of the evil dragon, so he gave up inheriting the throne in exchange for the fairy sword Odinger, packed his bags, left his beautiful and warm home, and embarked on a journey to slay the dragon. Hegnev quickly established a great reputation in Middle-earth, and defeated the famous evil dragon King Fafnir in a legendary battle, killing her with the holy sword. While everyone was watching, on top of the evil dragon's head, Hegnev was bathed in dragon blood and let out a roar that the human race would never surrender. It completely awakened people's resistance. People followed the first dragon-slaying warrior and launched a counterattack against the evil dragons raging on the continent. The 500-year-long dragon-slaying war thus begins. Hegnev, who became more powerful and invulnerable after bathing in the dragon's blood, soon combined it with the cultivation methods of the Wushan kingdom and developed a secret method of using dragon's blood to improve his own bloodline, the dragon's blood war technique. Among humans, more and more warriors with sufficient physical strength have successfully practiced dragon blood warfare and upgraded their blood to special dragon fighting blood. Not only have they gained bloodline power that can rival dragon beasts, but they can also compete with dragons. In the battle of creatures, absorb the dragon blood genes and become stronger faster. More and more dragon-blooded warriors appear and become the backbone of the fight against evil dragons. In the years of war, many epics and legends of dragon slayers have emerged. Advanced settings. Dragon-blooded warriors who have successfully practiced dragon-blooded warfare can compete with knights who have practiced fighting spirit for many years based on their physical fitness alone, and their strength reaches the 7th level. When dragon-blooded warriors absorb a small portion of the dragon's blood as the core of their bloodline evolution, they will gain a special ability, Dragon Blood Transformation, which can directly increase their strength by 1 level in a short period of time, making them comparable to 8th level soldiers. Combat power. If a dragon-blooded warrior who has mastered Dragon Blood Transformation fights a dragon creature, he can absorb the dragon essence and blood in the dragon beast's body. While speeding up his training, he can continuously strengthen the dragon blood in his body, allowing his strength to continuously break through the class bottleneck, launch a sprint towards the legendary realm. When dragon blood warriors have cultivated their own bloodline to the extreme, they will have 9th level combat power without using dragon blood to transform. They are called Mad Dragon Warriors. Although they can no longer use dragon blood easily during this period, transformed, but possesses a strength that is close to the peak of the 9th level. Dragon blood warriors who have reached this level will find a real legendary dragon, burn the dragon blood in their bodies and use the last dragon blood to transform into a violent dragon man, raising their strength to the legendary realm and competing with the dragon. Engage in a bloody battle to the death. Only by killing the dragon before the dragon blood is completely burned and exhausted, and bathing in the dragon's blood, can the dragon-blooded warrior be reborn and truly become a powerful legendary warrior. They are honored as dragon-blooded masters. Or before running out of life, use force to completely surrender the dragon, conclude a dragon war contract, and receive the dragon's life essence. This can also make up for the loss, transfer to a legendary knight-type unit, and they will be honored as dragons. Battle Knight. In addition to these two results, the Dragon Blood Warrior will undoubtedly die, because the process of burning the dragon bloodline is irreversible, and there is no saying that the burning will be suspended if it fails midway. This is the fate and final ritual that belongs to every dragon-blooded warrior. Go forward indomitably, tragically and heroically, and you will be punished if you don't succeed. Quote. As the details continued to be improved, the words on the founding scripture were gradually converted into ancient sacred texts, and a colorful light fell from the sky, gorgeous and mysterious. Wu Wei breathed a sigh of relief, and the corners of his mouth could not help but raise. It seems like it was successful. System prompts began to ring in my ears. You created a new series of soldiers, Dragon Blood Warriors. You have obtained the permanent allegiance of the Dragon Blood Warrior series of troops. You have gained the power feedback of creating a unit, you have gained the extraordinary core, Dragon War Bloodline Original Blood stage, and you have gained the special skill, Dragon Blood Transformation not activated. As the creator of a new unit, you have received the following rewards. Exclusive title for the leader of the rewarded units, Dragon War Monarch. When carrying the Dragon Blood Warrior series of units, your command points will not be occupied, and the attributes of the Dragon Blood Warrior series will be increased by 20%. They will never betray, and their morale will be fixed at full value. Reward War Spell. Military Formation Blood Battle Dragon Slaying. When the Dragon Blood Warriors you lead reach more than 300, and they include the 3 types of Dragon Blood Warriors, Dragon Blood Masters, and Dragon Warrior Knights, you can activate this army. The formation brings together the power of all the dragon-blooded warriors to exert at least the power of the Holy Realm. The greater the number of dragon-blooded warriors and the stronger their average combat power, the more powerful the military formation will be. At the same time, you can send flags to the banner. The Dragon Blood Warrior hero delegates the authority to use the military formation, so that the hero can use the military formation on your behalf. Reward a special building exclusive to Dragon Blood Warriors, Dragon Blood War Palace, which can be placed directly after the construction address is determined. Reward initial units. A small team of 7th level units Dragon Blood Warriors. Dragon Blood Transformation ability is not activated. 2 9th level units Mad Dragon Fighters, and 1 legendary unit Dragon Blood Venerable. Reward the top level equipment exclusive to Dragon Blood Warriors. 13 sets of dragon slaying weapons, Dragon Scale Armor, Dragon Skin Suit, Dragon Slaying Sword, Dragon Falling Bow, and Dragon Slaying Gun. Reward a hero exclusive to the Dragon Blood Warrior type. You have obtained the legendary hero, Dragon Slaying War God Hegnif, Peak of the Holy Realm. It was also a rich reward. Before Wu Wei could suppress the ecstasy in his heart, he saw a dozen burly warriors who seemed to have stepped out of an epic poem, fully armed, and walked out of the light and came to Wu Wei. I saw them kneeling down on one knee and shouting loudly to Wu Wei, Dragon Blood Warrior Team, see His Majesty the Dragon War Monarch. Wu Wei looked at these tough and mighty men, and he really liked them more and more. He quickly stretched out his hand to signal them to get up. No need to be polite, get up quickly. I will rely on you to protect my safety from now on. I am willing to die for your majesty. The 14 heavily armored warriors shouted again before standing up. After standing up, I found that these dragon-blooded warriors were generally 2.5 meters tall. Their size was no worse than that of orcs, and their strength far exceeded that of high-level orcs. Wu Wei could even faintly detect the astonishing blood energy emanating from their bodies, which was quite a violent aura soaring into the sky. Wu Wei knew that this magical perception ability should come from the rewards of the system. At this moment, he could feel the blood in his body rushing like a tide, washing all corners of his body, causing qualitative changes. Amazing changes were taking place inside his body at this moment. This strengthening process of the Dragon War bloodline actually seems to be more intense than the higher level holy glory of redemption. But after all, it was just a sudden power. This blood power quickly strengthened to its current limit, and gradually became hidden in the organs and blood vessels and calmed down. After all, if it strengthened any further, it would harm Wu Wei's body. After all, he has just reached the 2nd level now. Oh no, after this direct bloodline strengthening, he has now reached the 3rd level. If he absorbs part of the blood of a giant dragon, extracts dragon gene fragments, and activates the ability of dragon blood transformation, his personal combat power will reach the 4th level. Of course, it is not enough to watch in the continent of Ain. After all, Even the strong men in the sanctuary sometimes fall unexpectedly, but in Blue Star, being low-key should be enough for him to protect himself. When he was secretly satisfied, looking at these powerful and restrained warriors, Wu Wei suddenly felt heroic in his heart. With such a group of powerful subordinates, where in the world can't they go? Wu Wei found a location and put out the Dragon Blood War Hall, the Dragon Blood Warriors' exclusive building. This is also a multi-functional building. Not only can up to 50 dragon-blooded warriors be summoned from it every month, but there is also a certain chance of training the human race's level 5 or above melee units into dragon-blooded warriors. However, this requires the consumption of dragon blood. In addition, it can also fashion materials produced by dragon-like spiritual beasts into standard dragon-slaying weapons, which is equivalent to a high-level blacksmith shop. Dragon blood warriors can also live in it to restore energy and heal injuries, but this function also consumes the blood of dragon creatures. As soon as the Dragon Blood War Palace appeared, there were 50 Dragon Blood warriors waiting for Wu Wei to recruit them. Each Dragon Blood warrior requires 4,000 spiritual crystals, which is much more valuable than the 7th level Undead Knight. After all, recruiting an Undead Knight only requires 2,500 spiritual crystals. However, Wu Wei thought it was a good deal, because a dragon-blooded warrior's combat effectiveness was obviously stronger than that of the Undead Knight, and his potential was also higher. With a portion of the dragon's blood, they can have the special ability to explode at any time and gain 8th level combat power. Moreover, every dragon-blooded warrior has potential and will become a legend in the future, so it should be more expensive. Not to mention 4,000 spiritual crystals, even if it is 5,000, Wu Wei is willing to spend the money. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.